What is going on? What is going on, my Jets family? I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast. I'm excited to be here. Like always, you got me, Harrison Glazer. Always excited to be talking to you guys about them Jets. We didn't have a game this last Sunday. We had a bye, but we got a big one coming up. We're going to talk about it. Got a big one coming up, but I got an awesome guest here with me tonight. I have another guest that's going to be joining us. If you've probably seen the three of us together, that's because Sunday nights on Gino's show over on Everything New York Jets, which you guys should totally check out, we do a kick-ass post-game show. But I got Gino from Italy Jets here with me right now. Excited to have him. How are you doing, my man?
Man, I am exhausted. I had a long weekend, but it was a fun weekend. I had my cousin's wedding, went on 3 double dates with my wife. It was really, really good. The bye came at a great time, but man, I have been heckled by Patriots fans, and I can't wait to talk about it. Can't wait to talk about what we're getting into because man, this is a big week. And oh man, Harris, I know how you feel about the Patriots. You know how I feel about the Patriots. So, dude, let's get into this.
Without a doubt, man. And before we even do, I love, just the dynamic going back and forth. Something you brought up, which I thought is interesting. You mentioned this bye week coming at a perfect time. And I actually think
Yes.
it did come at a perfect time, not just for Jet
100%.
fans, but for the team. So, like, fan wise, you mentioned this was Labor Day weekend, bro. I mean, sorry, Veterans Day. This was, I don't even know what holiday it is anymore. It was Veterans Day weekend, bro. So it was nice. We had, depending on what job you had 3-day weekend. I mean, obviously, it'd be nice to watch Jet football on Sunday, but it was a nice, relaxing weekend. And for
Yes.
the team, it happened right kind of middle of the season. I mean, we're sitting 6-3 right now, and that's kind of the topic I wanted to get into, and I wanted to talk to you about, my man. So we got TJ here. TJ's asking, "Hey Harrison, how you currently feeling about Zach?" We're going to talk about him. We do have our buddy Show from the Jet Show who's going to be joining us as well. He's an awesome, awesome dude. So when he gets here, we're going to get into all that. But appreciate all you guys. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. But we were just saying how good this bye week felt. Right. This bye week felt really good. Obviously, from our perspective, it was a nice weekend, Veterans Day weekend, but also right in the middle of the season for the Jets. And I think that's something we're so excited. We're talking about future and wins and everything, but let's revel in this moment for a moment. You know
Ooh,
what I
yeah.
mean? Like, we are 6-3. Like, let that, like, the season is halfway done and we have 6 wins.
Like,
It's
I don't even
awesome.
remember,
Yeah.
when's the last time we've had that? Probably 12 years, probably.
Yeah, back when 2010, when we had that freaking famous playoff run, man,
Yeah.
29 and 2010, 09, 010, that huge playoff run. But
Those
I
are
love,
both.
you think just about that as well, because, we're talking all about, obviously, the Patriot game's coming up. We're going to talk about that, all this
Right.
big stuff. The Jets are here right now. They've made it. But as fans, I feel like we're not reveling in this enough. Like, we
Yeah.
should just be like on social media going, the Jets are 6-3, bitches. You know what I mean? Like, they're always shitting on us. Like, we're 6-3
Yeah.
at the midway point in the season. And like you said, the bye couldn't come nicer. The bye comes, we
Agreed.
have twice as many wins as we have losses right in the middle of the season. If they, take the break, take it easy, get it all together, then dude, we can come out, make this 11-5. Like, make
Yeah.
this 12-4. Like, this is well, actually no, we added a game now, so 12-5, 11-6. Yeah, I have to remember with the extra game now. So maybe 11-6, 12-5, but either way, that's amazing. So dude, I love to hear how you feel, because I don't think we're talking enough about, bro, we're 6-3. It's midway through the season, and the freaking New York Jets are 6-3.
It's one of those things where you a lot of fans thought that we were going to be a lot of fans, even a lot of analysts around the NFL, we were just going to be trash again. Like, no one believed in us. No one has said good things about us, but some of the fans are in it. I know we have been in it. But if you would have said that we were going to be 6-3 before the bye, I think a lot of people would look at you crazy, right? So it's one of those things where right now I'm just happy that we're contending. The AFC East is wide open. If we win this weekend and Dolphins lose, even if we win, I think we're in first place. So it's anything could happen. And all the teams in this AFC East are good because Belichick ain't going to go anywhere. Bills are always in there. the Miami Dolphins are becoming more and more legit, and we're becoming more and more legit. And the fact that the injuries are coming back, that from Fant, I know Fant, he might miss another week, but Mitchell is out there again. Davis is still day to day, but we have a team. I mean, we have a team that can produce and show 6-3. I mean, when you look at each game week by week, like we can pinpoint, oh, okay, yeah, we definitely should have won that game. Yes, we definitely lost that game. But at the same time, like, I'm happy where we're at. We got 8 more games left, a lot of football left. I mean, I think for the first time in 12 years, even the Bulls years, Rex Ryan years, we have a product that we're actually very confident in. So it's mind blowing. I love it.
And dude, I feel like that's again, like, as fans, you guys coming to tune in now, appreciate all you guys. We're talking about just there's so many great things to talk about, but we need to revel, right? We're
Mhm.
Jet fans. You guys like me, we've been through the shit, right?
Oh
We've
yeah,
been through decades
been
of
through the ringer, the ringer.
horrible
Whew.
freaking football with GMs that didn't know what they were doing, didn't know how to
Yeah,
draft. Finally, we get Joe Douglas. Everything's turning around. I kept
yes,
saying we're going to get to this point. We're going to get to this point. This is the fucking point, man. We're
yes.
6-3 midway through the freaking season.
And
It
we're talking
feels,
about playoffs too. Like, when's the last time
bro.
we could talk about that?
Yeah, and we're gonna
Like,
get
I
into
don't.
it. Yeah,
I
yeah, we're
mean,
gonna get to it. Yeah, not when show
yeah,
gets here, but not just playoffs, bro. We could be in the top of the division. We could take
yes,
this damn division.
yes. Yes. It's phenomenal. It's one of those things where all I've been looking at a lot of people on what they're doing with awards and who's like the favorite of the week and favorite at each position. And I agree with a lot of them. And I think for you, everything that you've said like this far has been correct. Like it's been spot on for
Not
what
everything, but
I
a good
well,
amount.
yeah, almost everything.
Appreciate it though, my
Let's go
man.
back.
Thank
Let's
you.
go back. How about
But
almost
I
everything?
appreciate it. Thank you.
Almost everything. So it's just really nice to see.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. And I even said it the other day. I think it was literally Saturday because again we had the bye and like I said, Veterans Day weekend, nice weekend, relaxing weekend. It was a nice time to have the bye. Like we said, not just for us, but also for the team midway through the season. The perfect time to have that bye when you're hot, right? To go
Yeah.
in now, like you said, heal up. Everyone's healing up. And we're gonna talk about that as well. I have like you mentioned, got some big news on the offensive line front.
Yeah.
uh all that good stuff, all that good stuff. Show should be hopefully, I think he said he's right here. He said he's
He's
driving,
driving.
so show is on his way. Dude, be careful, my bro, be careful. don't don't
Yeah,
don't
dude.
rush too
We
hard
need
fast
you.
again.
We need you.
We
We don't.
need you,
Yeah.
bro, we need you. But
And
show
his
should be
5
joining
kids.
us.
And his 5 kids
Ooh.
too. They need
So
you
yeah,
too.
then take it very carefully. Yeah, take it very, very carefully. You're a very needed man, my friend. But show should be joining us very soon, very, very soon. But I got so many awesome topics we're gonna get into, and we're talking just about the Jets being 6-3 right now and how we need to revel in that. I mean, the second half of the season, I think it's gonna be great, but let's revel in the moment that the last time we were this good, we were a playoff team. We are a playoff team right now. We're potentially going to be, and that's what I was gonna the next topic we were gonna get to, beating the Patriots this week. Beating the Patriots,
Yes.
continuing to close the gap. And that's what Salah's preached. He's continuously preached, close the gap in the division. That's where
Yes.
we've struggled the most. And right now, the Bills are the team that are struggling the most in this division. They can't seem to win in the division, but
They can't.
we're kicking butt, man. The New York Jets closing the gap. We lost that first game to the Patriots, but you could definitely argue without Zach Wilson's mistakes, we could have won that game. Easily could have won that game. And that
Yeah.
game was here in MetLife. We get to go to Foxborough now and maybe do something that we haven't done in, I think, like 13, 14 years, which is beat the Patriots in freaking Foxborough. And man, if we do that, we're in first place in the AFC East because the Dolphins have a bye this week and we
Yeah.
beat the Bills. So
Yeah.
all we have to do is win. If we win this game, forget wild card, man. We're sitting at number one in the division, which you mentioned before, and I think we should talk about too. I think this is arguably the best division in football right now.
I mean, when you look at every single team that has like if you look at every single team in all the divisions, it's like there's some rough patches, but there's also the rough patches that are teams that just haven't found chemistry, and they're good teams, they're just not there yet. For our division, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, fourth went to second, third went to first. First goes to second, first goes to third. It's like tic-tac-toe. So it's one of those things where anything could happen on any given week. And with all the other ones, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, they are definitely going to be there locked in for that second place. Oh, they're definitely going to be there now locked for third or first. The AFC East is very different, and we haven't seen that from the AFC East in a very, very, very long time because the Patriots used to own this division. So now it's anybody's game, it's anybody's ball game, and it's exciting to see coming down to the end. The only thing that I'm not looking forward to is the last 2 games of the season because then that's when I get really stressed. So I'm going to enjoy the ride because the AFC East is definitely the best right now, hands down, and we'll keep it going.
Yeah, I felt the same way, man. I noticed that just yesterday. I mean, I've been noticing it a while, but yesterday, watching what the Dolphins were doing, watching what the Bills were doing in that crazy game. That game was nuts. That game was like, it ended 4 different times. Like, I was like, the Bills lost. Yeah. Then I'm like, fuck, wait, what happened? Then I'm like, oh, wait, it's not over. Then I'm like, oh, it's going into overtime. I was like, holy shit. That was an unbelievable game. But I felt like that showed, and I felt this the whole season. Man, I think the AFC East is, if not the best, it's definitely one of the best overall divisions in the NFL and one of the toughest divisions in the NFL because of the competition, like you mentioned, man.
No one saw it coming, though. That's the thing about it is all the analysts are like, it's going to be Bills 1, Dolphins 2, Jets last, Patriots 4. Now it's not even, everyone is just so shocked. But that's what's so interesting about the NFL that separates from all of sports. All of sports, all of the NFL, that it doesn't matter if you're doing good. It doesn't matter if you're doing bad. You could show up on that day or you're not going to show up, and that will screw your entire schedule up. Like it doesn't matter. So now we're in a situation to where who the hell knows what's going to happen? I mean, we thought it was going to be a breeze these last 8 games, right? A lot of Jets fans did. Me, I'm kind of like, man, I'm always up and down. But now when I keep looking at the teams that are hot, it's like they're going to be battles again. We're going to battle it out until the very end because it's still going to get more complicated, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah. So without a doubt, man, appreciate all you guys in the chat. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. Love you guys. Love talking Jets with you guys. We got the Jet show is going to be joining us in just a little bit. We got Italy Jet right here. Mr. Gino, awesome dude, chatting it up with us. But literally appreciate all you guys. Jet Mess. Sup, brother? Appreciate you, man. Yo, appreciate you, bro. Dom making a good point. AFC East is for real. And Dom, I do feel, I don't know if you would agree, we were just saying it, I think it's one of the best in the freaking NFL, man, and definitely one of the toughest. We knew the Bills were going to be a top team. And, you know, you made an outstanding point before. For the longest time, this division, and I remember it, my whole freaking childhood, like literally my whole childhood, watching the Patriots own the AFC East, where we had good seasons, but they just owned it, just absolutely owned it, and it sucked. It was the worst, man. And I remember thinking again, back when quarterbacks used to freaking retire like normal people at normal times. I remember thinking in his late 30s, I was like, Brady's going to be close to out, man. This guy, it's got to be close to done. Then it's like almost 8 years later, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? I'm like, oh my God. Like there were so many times, like before his last 2 Super Bowls, I'm like, he's got to be toward the outs. Like this run has got to be over. Like, fuck, man. And then the Bills now, we knew Josh Allen was going to be dominant. I didn't know if Tua was going to be as dominant, but the Dolphins have brought it, man. The Dolphins have been freaking awesome. We have an unbelievable division. Absolutely unbelievable. And like you said, it's because it keeps switching. All these places keep switching. We're all like, look it up. I'm going to bring it up right now to get the actual numbers. I think it's 7, 6, 6, and 5. Yeah. It's, where are we? You look at the AFC East, 7-3, 6-3, 6-3, 5-4. It's the closest of all freaking divisions. And that's the point. The Jets win next week. The Dolphins have a bye, so nothing changes. We have the win over them because we beat them. and we beat the Bills. So even if the Bills win, all we have to do is beat the Patriots. But like you pointed out, they're 5-4. Belichick's always had our number. Like even when Mac Jones isn't that great, it's just the
Every
Patriots. We
time.
know that. I
Every
think
time.
we talked about that in the past. I don't know if it was on your show or whatever, but we talked about, how like remember the year Matt Castle came in? He had an unbelievable year with the Patriots, and then he just sucked after that. And no one like everyone like was like, oh my God, I thought he was good. Then we had all the time, all the Patriot coaches that have tried to fly out of the nest and have sunk instead of fly because they can't live without Bill Belichick's wings. Like the point, they have a great system. That's what it is. I hate to give it credit, but Belichick has a great system there. It's proven by all those things that the coaches try to make it and can't. Excellent players have been excellent specifically in that system. We came in and again, I feel like if Zach Wilson didn't have his interceptions, we could have totally won that game. And you remember we talked about it on
Hands
the
down.
Sunday post game show. We talked about that
Yeah.
even though Zach had the bad, it overshadowed the fact that he threw for over 350 yards. And that was the point, like we talked about, where everyone was saying Zach Wilson's a game manager. He's a game manager. Well, game managers don't do what he did against top NFL defenses. And that's something, we're going to talk about as well, what Zach Wilson has done against top defenses and top NFL secondaries.
I mean, everything you've said is correct, but at the same time, it's like, where would we? I think, just like Barrios said in his press conference today, and he's been saying this since yesterday as well. Like there was some kinks in the game plan that everyone was just not on the same page. Like they dealt with a little bit of stuff like in the beginning and at halftime. So when it came to the full game, Belichick definitely knew how to get us because the chemistry was just off. So now it's like every time when we have corrected the chemistry and corrected the situation, we become better. Like it doesn't happen a second time. So I firmly believe that this game on Sunday is going to be a big change in a good way in our favor in my mind, just because Barrios said that.
Yeah. So shout out to all you guys. Jet Mess points out Dom C brings the fire, and he does. Dom C, is an awesome dude. Brings a great point right here. That if we win, we're in first, and if we lose, we can be in last. Like that's how.
Yeah.
That is a really good point, man. That is just again the epitome of how great this division is. We have an absolutely outstanding division, and yeah, the Patriots would have the 2 games on us. So yeah, we would. That's a big swing. That's a crazy way to look at that. That potentially we're in first or last place, depending on just one game. That's crazy, man. That's a swing. But again, it just shows you how great this division is. And it's a good thing. I mean, you want to be the dominant team in your division, but hey, competition breeds success, right? The better teams around you make you better when you play other teams, for example. We've seen when great divisions play outside their division, they tend to dominate. So this is really nice to see, the dominance happening in the AFC East. Again, I'd like to see us take the first, but the whole point is that competition, that, quality in our division is going to breed quality.
It's one of those things where when you're facing it's like not good competition and it's teams that you just mull over, right? People aren't going to take it seriously. But I think what the Jets have done very well is, even though the Patriots were not that great of a team and we lost, but we beat the Bills, Packers, Broncos, like it's going to change. It's going to keep changing because now that we have the Patriots coming up, we got the Vikings coming up, who I think the Vikings are, in my mind, one of the best teams in the NFL right now. So it's going to be a lot, and I think we could do it. But it's nice that we're capitalizing on the big boys because when we do get to the playoffs, it's like, okay, we've been here before, but this is different. It's a different atmosphere. It's a different weather. Like we can go in and we can be comfortable. That's why I like about us beating the big guys instead of the guys that we could just mull over, because sometimes people expect that. So that's where I'm at. I like that.
Yeah, and that's the point. I mean, last week we beat the Bills. That was the we have arrived moment. Like we beat not just the top team in our division, one of the top teams in all of football. Their offense crazy enough, Josh Allen is having an interception problem right now. Maybe the Jets can be part of that cause. Maybe we have the guy seeing
Yeah.
ghosts.
Yeah.
Maybe he's got the Sam Darnold thing
Exactly.
going on.
Exactly.
They're from the same draft
Oh,
class. So who
seeing
knows?
ghosts. Oh man.
Maybe he's seeing ghosts. Who knows? Maybe the Jets got in his head, man. But man, I mean, we top passing offense, we shut them down. Our defense legitimately shut them down, literally shut down their receivers. It was amazing. We made Josh Allen make mistakes. That was what, and our offense played well enough against the top defense to have some good drives. They didn't play unbelievably, but they played well, had key plays, and didn't make key mistakes, which is a major, major thing. But we were talking about, the Patriots beating the Patriots, closing the gap, getting in first place. I always, bring, some great stats for you guys, great numbers. Here's an interesting one. The Jets are just one of two teams in the entire NFL that are 4-0 and undefeated when they're away. So
Yeah.
we talked about how we haven't won in Foxborough in a long time. We haven't won in a long time since we've been there. Well, the last time we played the Patriots, that was supposed to be the redemption game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I mean, we didn't play bad. Zach Wilson had a bad game. The rest of
Right.
the team played quite well, and we were in that game even with the mistakes he made. And he had a lot of good. We just have to get rid of the bad. If that can happen, again, we're road warriors this year, man. The Jets are 4-0 on the road. We're only one of two teams that are 4-0 and undefeated on the road. So maybe this could be the game. Maybe this could be the game in Foxborough to beat the New England Patriots.
I watched with my dad that game 2 weeks ago, and the Patriots when they were at home against MetLife, and my dad was like, "Man, what the hell?" And I'm like, "I thought you guys were good." I'm like, "We are good. It's just things happen." And he was just like, "Man, I expected more." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know, I get it." But my father, he like I said, he hates the Patriots just as much as we do because we've been through the whole St. Louis Rams thing, and we all know what the cheaters they were doing all that. So it's one of those things where I hope we can. I feel like this. I know beating the Patriots at MetLife is very sweet, but honestly, this defense thrives away because see what Sauce did with the cheesehead. I mean, you've seen what other people on the defense has done. They're always like, bye, we're here. Like it's like a different mentality and the Mamba mentality for them. Like they thrive, I feel like, more on the road. I'm not giving away what the home fans do because we're amazing, duh. But if you're continuing to build that chemistry and continue going down the line when you're away, you can definitely kick their butts away. So I'm looking forward to it. I want that win so bad.
Yeah, and that stat impressed me, man. I mean, we're just one of two teams. The other team is the pretty much perfect Philadelphia Eagles. So, man, we're the Road Warriors this year. We're a freaking Road Warrior team, man. So, yeah, let's go into New England, kick some ass, close the gap, and like Dom pointed out, it's a huge game. It's a huge game because the implication, that's insane. Like, again, that's how good our division is that we go from first to fourth. Like, that is crazy. Like we got to win this game. We have to win this game, especially with, remember, the disrespect from last year. The last game we played again, we pointed out, Belichick has a good system. We know that. There's a very good system there. We know that it has gotten our number more often than not. We're Jet fans. We watched the Patriot games over the last year. We're not happy about them, but we know the results. So it is a big order, just like beating the Bills. I mean, we just made a statement by beating the Bills. Beating the Patriots, beating Bill Belichick's system in New England. That's a hell of another statement. I mean, if you want to ring a bell, if you want to ring a "we have arrived" bell, you beat the Buffalo Bills the week before, you have your bye, you beat the Patriots in Foxborough. That's a moment right there. That's a big moment right there.
But at the same time, it's like if you can get Belichick getting an attitude in the middle of the game, and then giving that attitude when he goes to meet Salah in the middle, and just be a complete asshole, which I love when he loses.
The
Like
old Belichick, which we haven't seen in a while. Yeah, like the
yeah.
Brady attitude when he loses too.
Oh my god, it's so funny. I laugh every time. I'm like, I want that back.
You remember, yeah, dude, that's an outstanding point, bro. applaud that. You remind me of like the Rex Ryan days when we used to joke when Belichick used
Yeah.
to like insult him, right?
Oh,
Like
for
Belichick would give
sure.
him like the limp fish and walk the fuck away, and we'd be
Right.
like, "Bro, you just got beat. Take it like a man."
Exactly.
Like it's been a while. It's been a minute since we've seen that. So yeah, I would not
And he
mind a
hates us
sour.
so
That's a
bad.
good point, bro. I would
He
not
hates
mind a
us
sour
so
ass
bad.
puss on Bill when he meets Rob at the end of that game. That would not. I would like that a lot.
And he hates us so bad. Like he has publicly have said that too. Like he does not like us. So the fact that we can get underneath the skin again and have a revenge game against like for us against him, that would be the sweetest moment. That would make my entire weekend, honestly.
Revenge.
That no. You know what? My sister's getting married in December. And if we beat the Patriots, I think that's going to be the highlight of my year. If we beat the Patriots over my sister's wedding, I'm gonna be honest. I
A
mean, I
true
love
Jet
my
fan.
sister. I love my sister, but man, I hate the Patriots so much more. I'm sorry, Anna, if you're watching this, I know she is. She's gonna give me shit later, but like, I'm sorry. Like, if like we've been, I mean, I've been a Jets fan since I was 9. I know you've been a Jets fan for a long time too when you were a kid.
Whole
But
life.
man, when we face the Patriots, it doesn't feel normal. It feels like everybody's blood pressure is going up and it's never easy. You're never calm during it. Like if you seen my video when we won against the Bills, imagine when we beat the Patriots. I'm gonna come out with another video. I'm gonna break a
Bro, be
TV.
careful. I was gonna
I'm
say,
just
yeah,
gonna,
no
bro, I'm gonna
shit.
break a TV, and I will throw out money just to get a new one because man, it was worth it.
That's funny. That's funny, man. So I got some good news for you guys. Got some good news. We got a treat. We got Show of the Jet Show in the
What's
house.
up,
What is up,
My man,
bro?
gentlemen?
What is
my
up,
man,
man? It's good to see you. I appreciate
my
you being here. I know
man.
you were coming your way back from work, so I appreciate you. Appreciate you making it on the show. Really appreciate the
Absolutely.
dedication, my man.
I was like Superman when he runs into the phone booth and he changed clothes. Like as soon as I walked in, it's like
I love it. You got
Hey,
the hat. You're ready to go.
hey,
Love it, man.
tell your kids to stay off the damn Wi-Fi, right?
let me mute it. I might have to curse him out. I'm just joking. What's
Oh
up,
man, well,
guys?
we
How
got
are
the
we feeling
trio
today?
together, man. Yeah. So as you guys know, like I mentioned, there's the three of us. We on Sunday nights. We
Mm-hmm.
do post game show. It's freaking awesome, man. We do it on Gino's channel over at
Mm-hmm.
Everything New York Jet.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's
Guys,
good to see you, man.
I just want to say that I'm thankful for being on the show. I'm also thankful for the Chargers losing and the Bills as well.
Oh man, it ain't even Thanksgiving, and we're so thankful already. This is great,
Oh man, what a wonderful
bro. That
weekend,
game
man.
was crazy, right? That
Yes,
talk about that
yes,
game first. That game was
yes.
nuts. Like I was like, the Bills lost, and then I was like, oh shit, they didn't lose, and I'm like, oh
Right,
wait, they
exactly.
did lose, and then oh wait, no, it's
Crazy ass game.
overtime. That was crazy, man. That was absolutely nuts.
Yes, yes. Being honest, guys, I was like, okay, like that this close, man. The Bills is taking this hands down. Like I gave up at that point. Like when the Bills at the last minute took the lead. Well, they
Yeah,
tied up and went to overtime. I said, you're not beating the Bills in overtime. Like Josh Allen is gonna be pissed off, and it's not
yeah,
happening.
yeah.
And
I
yeah,
get
I was
that.
shocked. I was absolutely shocked, man. But kudos to Vikings. Kudos to the Vikings. I think the Vikings, along with the Jets, are surprising the entire NFL right now.
Oh, hands down.
Yeah.
Like I never underestimate the Vikings. Every year they always go until the last minutes of the game, just like they did with the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just never know with them. I am more scared of them than a lot of other teams in the NFL.
I
Like
agree.
because Jefferson, my God, he's just
Oh, he's
freak of
incredible. Oh
nature.
my
He's a
Yes.
god,
freak
just
of nature. Cousins doesn't even have to be that great, and he's
Mm-hmm.
still gonna freaking beat your ass. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's unbelievable. What can we say that about another guy other than Diggs? In
Right.
my opinion,
That one-handed catch that
oh,
Jefferson did, dude,
the
I
catch of the
lost
and
it.
year,
I
what
was
he's
like,
been doing his
catch of
whole
the year.
career for now.
yeah.
Like it's crazy. Like there's so many guys we hear hype all the time. Big names like obviously Andre Hopkins. When he was
Mm-hmm.
younger, all
Mm-hmm.
that you hear all those
Beast.
big names, but it's rare for someone like yesterday for them to even utter the name Jerry Rice and Justin
Oh man,
Jefferson
yeah,
in the same sentence already. Like it's crazy.
facts.
Like what this kid is doing is nuts. Like that's what they're saying. Like he looks like again, it's early, but it's like the same things we've been saying about Sauce. Like
Mm-hmm.
he just
Right,
looks like
right.
a legend.
I'm gonna be honest here, guys, and I'm not looking through a green lens when I say this. but I honestly feel like Garrett Wilson is that caliber receiver. Maybe not as dominant as Jefferson, but I
Right.
honestly see and feel that Garrett Wilson is definitely our number one receiver going into the next season and so
Yeah.
forth, man. I think that kid is special.
He's got the potential. He's got all the tools.
I think that kid is special.
We all thought Elijah Moore would be that guy, and I still think he can be one of those guys if he can get everything together for him. But Garrett Wilson, the fact that he was even a high school basketball player, he was a college basketball player. I mean, he's got those hops. I mean, I can't even jump that high. Like I'm thinking a normal person could jump that high unless you're an actual basketball player. But like he's got the tools, and I'm gonna be honest. I love when he took number 17. Okay, I know he's 5 in Iowa State, but like 17 reminds me of Devontae Adams, and I love Devontae Adams. So man, if he could be that guy for us, man, I'm good.
Right.
I'm good.
Yeah, man. So since we're talking about the wide receivers, Robert Saleh had his press conference today, and in his press conference, he made an announcement about Corey Davis. So as you guys know, I bring you, the media and the press and all that. So to bring you the full quote, he said Corey Davis will continue to be day to day, but I love that he pointed out that Corey didn't go anywhere. He said since the bye week's been going on, Corey has been in-house. He said he stayed here the entire week. He said he's been working really hard. He said we'll see how it goes for him during the week. I do have to point out, because again, as you guys know, I'm listening to the press conferences all the time. He always is more like hesitant with Corey. These last few weeks, there's more he's day-to-day, we'll see. He's day-to-day, we'll see. This is the first time he pointed out, well, he was here all week. He's working really hard. He basically made it sound like he's just about back, which means if he doesn't come back this week, I definitely think he's coming back next week. And you guys mentioned with Garrett Wilson, man, Garrett Wilson definitely looks like the next great wide receiver one. He really, really does. He's easily the best wide receiver on our team. And Corey Davis, talking about him coming back, people didn't give him enough credit. We can talk about that, as well. People didn't give, everyone thought, Corey Davis wasn't going to be a major part of this offense. He totally is. Right. He's a major, major part of this offense. And now with Denzel Mims coming on, man, Mims has been coming on lately. Corey Davis comes back. They're now going to be using Elijah Moore in the slot where, you could argue he's okay outside, but man, what he does in the slot is crazy. You still got Braxton Berrios. This is a pretty awesome wide receiver room. Love to hear what you guys think, and I definitely want to circle back to some of those guys individually as well. But love to hear what you guys think about Corey Davis and just the wide receiver room in general. Like a show, we can start with you.
I'm definitely a huge fan of Corey Davis. I like Corey Davis when he was at Tennessee, and I'm not really too big on anybody outside of the Jets, but when looking at Corey Davis, the guy was a stud, and I know they had Henry to kind of take a lot of spotlight off of him, and they had A.J. Brown at the time to take spotlight off of Corey. But what he did for Tennessee, man, was absolutely amazing. And being honest, other than some of the drops and the injuries for us last season, Corey Davis was pretty outstanding, man. The guy was, he was on track to have 1,000-yard season. And looking at this season currently, man, being honest, Corey Davis is absolutely the number one receiver on our team. It's just that Garrett Wilson, you can see that star quality in him. That's what kind of, makes you lean a little bit towards Garrett Wilson. But overall, from an overall standpoint, I think that Corey Davis is Zach's favorite weapon. And he hasn't been as injured as he was last year, and he's definitely like the issues with him dropping the ball has almost like completely disappeared. So kudos to that man for working hard, keeping his head down. He's not the guy that wants all the attention. He just comes in and grind. He's not a man of many words, but he's a man of a lot of actions, and I appreciate that from Corey Davis.
Cut him. No, I'm kidding.
We should trade him.
We were joking about it. Like
I was joking.
It was so funny that he was even part of the conversation. Remember mid-season that he was potentially going to be traded.
Not me.
I thought that was crazy. I was laughing at that.
I always got to go with their dramatic or the punchline, always, every time. Right. So for me, I think Corey Davis is hands down our best wide receiver. I've been saying it since last year. Garrett Wilson has definitely got that talent to be number one eventually, but Davis has been not only Zach Wilson's main guy, but you can just see it all throughout training camp and all the film, everything on social media. He loves that guy. And I think Tennessee was holding him back. He was a great kid coming out from college. He was great coming in Tennessee. But, I mean, you have a star running back like you do with Henry, and then you got A.J. Brown right there. You know, you're going to be that secret weapon because when they throw to Brown and when they give Henry the ball, and they had Jonnu Smith too as well. So, I mean, it was kind of like they were holding it back a little bit. Then you come to the Jets, and he was on pace for more than 1,000 yards. And then now he is basically our number one. And then coming in here, he hasn't missed a beat coming back from injury. And now I'm just excited to see when he comes back that he can be our number one again, because people were calling for his name to trade him. Oh, he's overrated. Honestly, I think he's underrated, in my opinion. I think he is a very important part of our team down the stretch, and I hope we bring him back next year. But not only that, the wide receivers coach loves the veteran in him. Like he has been like with Wilson and Moore. I mean, every step of the way, and along with Berrios, I mean, they love this guy, and that's what you need. That's like with Vinny Curry with JJ too. I mean, you need these guys in here if you want to make a playoff push and even a potential Super Bowl push. So I love Corey Davis. I love what he brings to the table, and man, I can't wait when he gets back.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you guys. I do have to disagree a little bit, Show. I do think you're right. For the longest time, Corey Davis was, without a doubt, Zach Wilson's favorite target. He was his favorite guy. But I think Garrett Wilson is supplanting him quickly. Like Garrett Wilson, like what he's doing is, and his timing with Zach Wilson is unbelievable. That Wilson to Wilson connection just looks amazing. Like we saw that 54-yard deep pass. Like that was just in perfect stride. So I do agree, man. Corey Davis is a major integral part of this offense. But I think even when he comes back, I think we're going to start to, even though for the longest time, Corey was the main guy, I think we're going to start to see Garrett as the main guy, because Garrett is really developing as that true wide receiver one. I think he's already the best receiver on the team. And like you pointed out, potentially going to be one of the best in the league very, very soon. Like his talent is unbelievable. But man, Corey comes back. He's going to be a major part. Him and Mims will be outside together. You have Mims coming on. It's the receiver core looking really good. And then we got Moore in the slot now. So Elijah Moore, I used Corey as the perfect example. You guys remember we talked about it on why, I wasn't happy with Moore opening his mouth. The team was winning. The team is winning. The team looks good. You have a guy like Moore, even though he says he's happy now. He's happy being in the slot. He was still stirring up stuff for a while. Yeah. The way I look at it is you look at Corey Davis. That's a veteran, a guy, not a young guy, but a veteran on a team that has had success in the past. If you look at, like you said, what he's done this year, it was clear for a long time before he got hurt that they weren't favoring, the passing game that much. When they were, he was a major integral part, but we were leaning on at that time. Hate to mention Breece Hall because it's heartbreaking, but we were leaning on Breece Hall in that running game. So we talked about how Corey Davis, it was clear if he was just favored more in the offense and got the ball more, he would easily be on par for a 1,000-yard season. His numbers showed that there was just low production, but he wasn't opening his mouth. He wasn't saying crap because the team was winning. That's what matters. That's the metric that matters the most, the W's. And again, we had the crap from Elijah, but having him in the slot, it is exciting. And I think the reason why is when we drafted him, he went 34th because at the time, he was the best slot receiver in all of college football. So I don't know if you guys remember this. He had from 2019 to 2020, in that 2-year time period, he had over 1,700 yards in the slot alone, which was the most in all of college football. And he also had a 97.7 PFF grade solely from the slot, which was the highest in the entire draft class. So, I thought he was going to be a slot guy, and I think he proved himself last year that, he can play on the outside. But, man, I think obviously, again, with Garrett Wilson being unbelievable, Corey coming back soon, Mims coming into his own and really showing a little bit. If Moore can be that guy, look out.
Competition everywhere.
Sky's the limit. And that to piggyback off what you're saying, Harrison, it's that press conference interview with Elijah Moore I think it was at the beginning of the season when he was like, look, man, we have at our wide receivers room, we have talent at every position. He said, so it's going to be pretty hard to guard all of us or to defend all of us. Like somebody's going to get open. And when he said that, I thought about it, man. I was like, dude, he's right. That's this wide receiver group is kind of scary. Yeah. So seeing the Wilson and Wilson connection developing more and more now. Seeing Denzel kind of coming into his own this year. We know where Corey Davis is, even when he returns from injury. Then you add on the likes of Barrios and even Jeff Smith. Like even when his number is called, like he's not dropping balls, he's running the correct routes, he's getting separation. It's like from the top all the way to the bottom of our receiving core, man. This team is good. Period.
And even to piggyback off that, I mean, Saleh even said in training camp and then going into the first preseason game, like they're going to have to cut good football players, good players. When's the last time we could say that about the Jets? Been a long time. And I've never heard a coach actually say that specifically like that for the Jets too. Like they had to cut some people that a lot of content creators, including us and the fans, were like, that's a little shocking. But it's ended up working out for them a little bit when you think about it, because we're still stacked at every position, and even the backups are doing really well. I mean, just like Mims, even Najee Harris did pretty good. And then Shepard. I mean, I think Shepard and Huff have been, and I've been dogging Shepard for a long time, but Shepard's even doing pretty good. And Huff has just been, I mean,
Bryce
God,
Huff's been legendary, bro.
dude,
Like,
if
not
you,
given enough credit.
dude, I would sign him in February. Like, just give him anything he wants. Give him and Quentin
Right
Williams. Give Quentin
Right.
and shoot, even right now, shoot, I will do a GoFundMe fund for both of them. Like, I will give them that. Like, just do it already. I don't know. I'm crazy, but that's just how I feel. But that's that's how I feel when it comes to these situations that people are just stacked now. Like we are stacked at the positions, and it's ended up working for us.
One of the things that I was curious about was like the first 3 games we weren't using we were not using Huff at all, man. And like
Huff
some
was
of my
inactive.
tweets, some of my, I'm like what are we doing here?
Few weeks.
Like, we're not
He
using
was
Huff.
inactive, man. It was crazy.
Right.
You guys saw him.
Dude.
You saw on Twitter. It was the week literally right before they made him active. I had enough. Like you guys know, I'm a big, huge Bryce Huff
That's your
fan.
boy. That's your boy.
You guys on the show with Vinny, you know I've had him on. I've had him on as a
Mhm.
guest twice. I've been a huge fan of him since back in Memphis. I was pissed. I was like, this is crazy. Like he was an undrafted guy who wasn't getting a lot of opportunities in the beginning because that's how it works. You have to play well to get opportunities, and he was, and then he was getting them, and then he's just inactive. And they asked Robert Saleh about it, and his logic made sense, which is why I think, again, they traded a guy like, Jacob Martin away, which makes a lot of sense because he was saying there were just too many guys in the room. He's like, we wanted to dress Huff, but then we're dressing like 10 defensive linemen, and that was just crazy to him. It's like, that's so many guys. So that's why it made a lot of sense, that trade, obviously getting a higher draft pick, in the process, trading one away, but moving up around, if he wasn't going to be a major part anyway. But dude, Bryce Huff, I've been saying it for years. Like my favorite thing about him was always his get off. I was like, if you watch him, he's like a rocket. He's like a rocket off the line of scrimmage. I always knew it was fast. I didn't know it was the fastest in the NFL. Like that's
that was
crazy.
To find out.
That's a fact. Man. Like he has a faster get off than Myles Garrett. Like that is insane. I always knew it was fast. Like I've been saying, you can see it on Twitter for years. I was like, his get off is one of the best. His get off is impressive. I didn't know it was that. Like you could legit say Bryce Huff has the fastest get off in the entire NFL. Like this man has to be paid and he has to play more.
I mean,
this defensive line is scary.
I mean, shoot. I mean, I don't really know anybody else that has been the perfect cheerleader for Bryce Huff than you. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you every time you talk about Huff, every time you talk about Huff, I'm like, man, I'm invested. Like, let's go get his jersey.
Let's back in 2020, I was shocked he didn't get drafted. I could not believe when you watch this kid do in college. I liked him more than the Jabari Zuniga pick. I hated the Zuniga pick.
Oh, I did too, dude.
Hated that.
Wow.
I was
down.
like, man,
I
would have taken Huff potentially at that pick over Zuniga. Like, man, I couldn't believe Huff didn't go in the 5th round, maybe even the 4th as like, who's this guy?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just like you said about Zuniga, and now we got Huff. It's like not an issue anymore, thank God. But the fact that Huff has been fighting his way into the lineup like Mims and doing pretty good, we're going to need that. We're going to need that down the line. Not only are we going to need that down the line, like Rankins is out. He ain't going to be probably back until the end of December. And now JFM can finally just stay there. Don't put him on the edge. If they do, I'm going to email Salah or something. But like, it's one of those things where
Storm the field.
JJ and Huff and Clemens give him their time.
Mm-hmm.
Keep Shepard in the middle. Keep have Solomon Thomas step up. But shoot, I wouldn't mind seeing Marshall or Smart. I don't really think we should go out and get anybody. They had great
Jonathan Marshall,
preseasons.
man.
They had great preseasons. I know me and me and you have talked about that so many times on our show. Like, I'm cool with Smart and Marshall if they come on in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're big boys. Like, they're hungry.
Dude, I am a huge fan of Marshall. Like,
yeah, bro.
Huge. Like, I really want him to get his shot. Played for Arkansas, man. The guy was a stud for Arkansas, man. Like, I just wish to God that they give us the opportunity to see Marshall in a season game.
Yes.
I'm just going to say it, man. I'm not going to hesitate. I think he's going to stand out.
I'm 1,000% with you. He's a guy I've been insanely high on.
Either one, they're going to stand out. I really firmly believe,
and I like Smart too.
I like Smart. Yeah, I do like Smart.
But bro,
we can
Jonathan
say that,
Marshall.
though.
But Marshall, you said
you watched him at Arkansas for a defensive tackle. He is ridiculously fast, insanely fast. Like same kind of thing. Like not the fastest get off in the NFL, like Huff, but his get off for a defensive tackle at 300 plus pounds is insanity, and he's strong too. Like I remember correct. I think he was like in the 99th percentile for defensive linemen because he had like the fastest 40 in cone times.
Crazy.
Yet he also had like some of the most bench press. Like he is a physical specimen. And in his first game, his first preseason game ever, he has the game-winning safety to win the freaking game for us. Man, I'm with you. I'm a huge Marshall fan. I wanted Marshall to make the 53. Like originally.
I
did too.
I'll be honest, I've been
Shepard,
I've been crapping all over Nathan Shepard. You guys out there know I've been saying how much I don't like him.
I think we all have.
He's been pretty good lately. You do have to give him credit. He's been pretty good lately. He really has been.
But what would you do, though? Would you take Smart and Marshall? Or would you do Thomas and Shepard? Like, would you make that switch if it came down to it? Or maybe
Rankins
one of them
opens
after
up the
the other?
spot, so you could just bring one of them up. And I'm
Exactly.
with you. I bring up Marshall.
You bring up Marshall? Okay.
I would.
Okay.
Yeah, so we mentioned some stuff before. Gino, you mentioned it earlier in the show. There was some big news that Robert Saleh said in today's press conference. Some big news, and that big news is the Jets are opening up Max Mitchell's practice window. So I do want to clarify that because some people might have heard that and been like, Max is 100% back.
No, he's
what
not.
That means
no.
is he's opening up Max Mitchell's practice window, which means just like when Dwayne Brown's happened, you now have 21 days to potentially activate him, or he defaults back to IR automatically. So I want to point, because a lot of people are like, oh, he's back immediately. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going to practice this week. I hope the shit he does. I can't wait for Max Mitchell to be back. I love this kid. Man, you guys know we talked all about him. I'd love to hear what you guys think. But, man, this is an offensive lineman, a fourth-round pick that was thrown into the fire. He wasn't supposed to start, and he was outstanding. Like, you have to say he was outstanding because he wasn't supposed to be playing, and he was holding his own against guys like Justin Houston, guys like Myles Garrett, like literally the best edge rushers in the league. So, man, Nate Herbig, young dude at right guard. They say Fant's not going to be back yet as well. I say I don't care when Fant comes back. I want Max Mitchell next to Nate Herbig. I want those two young guys developing, that chemistry next to each other, because that's the future of the right side of that offensive line. But Show, love to hear what you think, man.
Facts.
I agree. At this point, so coming into the season, I was like, dude, this is going to be good. Like, Fant looked like a stud superstar last season. So I'm like, okay, Makai's back. I had my question marks about Makai. You probably saw it via Twitter. I had my question marks about Makai. I wasn't the guy that was going to Twitter bashing Makai, but I was kind of like in between. I was like, I'm not bashing him, but I know you just had a kid, but this is your job. Like, I have children, but I have to get to work. You know what I mean? But coming into the season, I was high on Fant. But when I saw his play, and then he was injured, and then I saw how Max Mitchell just stepped right into his role, didn't hesitate, didn't look bad. And now we have Herbig, coming in, and Herbig is looking good. They call him what they call him, Nasty Nate. I think that's the locker room name for him, right?
Yeah.
So it's like these guys are young, man. Like, and when you look at our team overall, it's full of youth. And I think if you can, like Salah has been saying even since last season, we have to find a way to merge experience, the veteran type mindset, with the youthful energy and body. If we can find some way to merge those two, then you have a Super Bowl caliber team. And I agree with that. And so I'm agreeing with you 100%, Harrison. Man, let's keep Herbig in. Let's keep Max Mitchell on the same side. Let's look forward for the future, man. When it comes to Fant, at one point, I was like, yeah, let's give him a contract, man. Let's go ahead and sign him. I don't want anybody else to get him. We can never have good things. But then he plays like crap in some games this year, and now he's injured, and then he's an older guy. Granted, he didn't play a lot of games, so, there's not a lot of miles on his wheels, so to speak. But our team is based upon youth and the future of this franchise. So, my opinion, I agree with Harrison, man. If Fant come back, you have him as a healthy guy that's on the bench, but you let these young studs play, man, and let them develop so we can be that Super Bowl caliber team for the seasons to come.
I mean, yeah, I agreed, hands down. For me, I have my reservations about back then. I wanted him to get back to 100%. I agree that this is job too. I know I just had a baby, but like, you're right. It's like we got to go to work, man. We got to grind this shit out. And and unfortunately, just didn't come back healthy. Like, he got re-injured, and then Fant. Like, I love Fant. He's older, but like, I never thought he should have been on this team this year. Like, I really thought we should have moved Vera Tucker to that left side and trade Fant or, release him or something, because I love Nate Herbig. That was a great waiver wire pickup. Mm-hmm. And I wanted Herbig on that right side along with Max Mitchell eventually, because I wanted Mitchell to develop more. Because, I mean, I keep going back to Mangold. Mangold, that was his guy. Like, Jets wanted Mangold wanted the Jets to get Mitchell. So I wanted in the third week, I said I want Mitchell, Herbig, McGovern, and then Lakin, then Vera Tucker. And I'm cool with Brown, but imagine if they were still there. Like, it would have been a whole different team on the O-line for me. That's what I think.
No, I couldn't agree more, man. And there's so many different. Yeah. What do you think, Shep?
No, just in a side note, man. I actually wanted us to somehow magically bring back LDT, even if he just came off the bench. I was so okay with him coming off the bench.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I mean? Oh, hands down.
You know what I mean? Like, I was like, if we could somehow just bring him back just in case somebody is injured. Like, I'm so good with this guy playing 2 or 3 games until somebody comes, like one of the starters come back. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted us to get him so bad, man.
And I love that LDT's a doctor too, so like if shit goes wrong on the field, he can run out and give us a quick eval. Be like, is the shit torn? Like, what'd you see, LDT?
Right.
What'd you see out there?
Right. Well, this doesn't look good. I'm a doctor too, y'all.
Right.
I'm a doctor too, y'all.
Yeah, LDT says it doesn't look good. I'm like,
oh my god, man.
Did you guys want Moses back?
He wasn't.
Did you guys want Moses back or no?
I didn't want to pay him what he wanted. I wanted Moses back. Mm-hmm. He's a quality tackle. Mm-hmm. He wasn't worth what. That's what I think the way Joe looked at it. Joe's like, what do you want? He told him the money. He said, have a good one. I think that's what pretty much happened. Because it's like, he's a quality player, but I think just he wanted too much, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I think it was with Morgan.
Well said, Harrison. Well said, my man.
You mentioned Fant, bro. I loved the idea of Fant at left tackle because what he did last year was awesome.
Right.
It was, and everyone pointed out it was his first year at left tackle. But what everyone was not pointing out was it was also his first year in Robert Saleh's system. So I was like, oh, this could be something. Like, this guy could be, and he's only was 30 last year. He could be our left tackle for a couple of years. Be that solid blindside left tackle. Not saying he can't be potentially, I mean, he still has a couple of years left, but I think what the Jets are probably going to do, and I saw someone put it out on Twitter, because the second I put out my thing about Max Mitchell, with being activated, all of a sudden the conversation becomes AVT, right? Because I mentioned Nate Herbig at right guard and Max Mitchell at right tackle, because those are two young dudes, like you said, Gino, two young guys you want to build your offensive line around. So where does AVT fit in? A lot of people I know want to put him at left tackle, and I'm not saying that's stupid. Please let me clarify that. I'm not saying that's a bad decision. But the way I look at it is that's one of the most premium positions on an offensive line. We've seen blindside left tackles go first overall, literally third overall, because of how premium a position that is. And not saying ABT won't thrive at left tackle. He probably will. But he was having all-pro seasons at guard. Last year, he looked amazing, like a future all-pro as a guard. This season, he was having an all-pro season as a guard. And then we started moving him around, and he got hurt. But what I'm kind of feeling, and you guys, I mentioned this before, I don't hate Laken Tomlinson, but he's not playing at the level he should be. He's not playing at a Pro Bowl level at the money we paid him at. And next year, and you got to love the brilliance of Joe Douglas. He paid this guy, but made it so that we have an out next year. So I'm kind of ready to say, unless Laken turns it around, unless Laken all of a sudden starts playing like a Pro Bowler, but if he keeps playing the way he is, which is good, but not bad, but not at a Pro Bowl level, I say AVT at left guard next year, and we draft our blindside tackle of the future, because that's what Mekhi was supposed to be. And we talked about how we can't fault Joe, right? Even me, I wanted Mekhi. So many people backtrack their takes. They love to do it. They love to be like, oh, I always thought he was going to be a bust. He never had injury history in college.
Right. Exactly.
Also, because everyone's like, because of his size, he was an unbelievable athlete. He was a better athlete than guys that were 150 pounds lighter than him. So this was a guy I even wanted at that pick. We have to acknowledge now, going into his fourth year, never playing a full season, Joe has to correct the mistake. So I see us getting a top blindside tackle in the next draft. And then, man, a top rookie blindside tackle with AVT, McGovern, and then Herbig and Max Mitchell. That's a young offensive line. That could be freaking really good. Like, that's what I'm thinking we should do. I don't know what you guys think.
I have a couple things. So, like we discussed last weekend, I was like, was Lakeland Tomlinson that good because he played next to Trent Williams?
You mentioned that. I think that's a very valid point.
Right.
Oh, yeah, you've said this before. I've heard you say that before.
Right. And also, what I've been intending to do is look at the games that AVT played left tackle, and then see how well did Lakeland Tomlinson play that game. Was it a profound difference between when AVT played left tackle versus anyone else who played left tackle? You know what I mean? Did he struggle when AVT wasn't there, or did he look like a superstar that we know of when AVT was playing at left tackle? Now, here's my other thing. Is Max Mitchell good because AVT was there, or is he just a solid right tackle?
See, I think it's early. It's too early to make that decision. But from what I've seen, he makes quality blocks. The same thing we've seen with Herbig. Like, he made that quality block in week 2 against Myles Garrett on his own. That was a one-on-one matchup against Garrett. He allowed the game-winning touchdown to be thrown. I think it's too early, obviously. It's way too early on him. But from what we've seen, there's massive potential there. I don't think it's just because of ABT. I think it was contributing to him doing as well as he was early. But the talent is there. Like, we're seeing it. The talent of him being able to block top, edge rushers at the NFL level as a 4th-round pick. Now, again, it's not proven yet, but the talent is there.
I agree. He definitely has talent. Definitely has talent. It's just that AVT is so dominant and so good and so sharp. His IQ for football is high. It's just like, I think he just make guys on his left and right better, being around him. But I'm very amped about Max Mitchell, being honest, guys. Like, he's actually one of my favorites on this team. Lakeland, I'm very disappointed in. And I'm really interested to see how he looks moving forward. If he continued to give us the play that he has been giving us throughout these past weeks, I'm really not excited about having him at left guard next season, man, if he continues to play this way. But if he shows us that style of play that he gave us with the 49ers, oh, yeah, then you absolutely keep him at left guard. Absolutely.
Yeah, shout out. Appreciate all you guys in the chat. We got Buffalo. Sup, Buffalo? Appreciate you, brother.
Buffalo, what's up,
Appreciate all
bro?
you guys in the chat. If you have any questions, let us know. Any comments, whatever you're thinking, please hit me. Please hit us up. Let us know what you guys are thinking. But man, just the offensive line, it's looking good. It's looking really, really good. It's an exciting thing. But to pivot a little bit, and talk about the defense for a little bit. Man, that defense was
My favorite.
kicking ass against the Buffalo Bills. Our defense shut down that top passing offense. And here's an interesting stat to think about. So, and this is just overall, and people talk about how our defense has been better over the last couple of weeks. But how about the fact that overall, we have the 6th best passing defense right now, the 9th best rushing defense, and the 10th best scoring defense. So that statistically means the Jets easily have a top 10 defense. And man, especially our passing defense, but even that rushing defense that people didn't think was going to be there, it's all top 10, man. We have a top defense right now. Show, what do you got to say about it, man?
Man, dudes, I am a defensive minded guy. When it comes to sports, I love defense. I just absolutely love it. I told you guys before, I used to box, and I'm a huge boxing fan. And I like the boxers who can make guys miss, who can just make them look like a fool in the ring, no matter the caliber. So same thing with football, man. Whenever you see a team that can literally shut down arguably one of the best quarterbacks, one of the best offensive teams in the NFL within the Buffalo Bills, I mean, dude, how could you not marvel over this? And I'm going to be honest, I hate the narrative that, well, Josh Allen just had an off game. No. He just met a dominant defense. It's a profound difference between a guy having an off game and a guy who had pressure in his face, relentless pressure, quarter after quarter after quarter. And not even just the relentless pressure. Let's give credit to our linebackers and our defensive backs. The coverage was excellent. You think about the first major drive that they had. I think I heard one of you guys say this actually. Without Sauce having the coverage that he had, without Whitehead having the coverage that he had, that pass would have been a touchdown. Instead, the coverage was so spot on that Josh Allen forced the ball. Whitehead had an interception. So he had pressure in his face and he had great coverage. I mean, what more can you ask for as a fan or as a defensive coordinator? This defense is lights out, man. And being honest, this defense is the reason we're going to make it to the playoffs. My personal take.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Gino?
I mean, it brings me tears to my eyes that we can say this without having me to get one of these. Just
top
saying.
defense, baby. Top defense in the NFL.
I bring the laughter.
Okay.
Listen, I think the best thing about our defense is people just underestimated us a lot, and it pissed a lot of us off. I know it pissed me off, and I know it pissed you off, and it's one of those things for me. We've proven, like we have totally proven that we are a top 10 defense. We picked the right guys in the draft from last year and this year. JD has totally reformed this team with the budget that he brought in, with picking up Whitehead, bringing back Joyner, and they had faith in that. They brought in Quan for hella cheap, and then Quincy coming back, CJ coming back. Like in this defensive line, it's one of those things where it's coming together now, and I think when we all think about that, we're like, oh, it's still a rough road. And the outside guys and even the other fan base are like, it'll be fine. We'll win against them. It's like, no. We see this day in and day out. Like, we are legit. Like, we couldn't say that years ago, but we are legit. Like, we are legit. We will keep up with teams. And I love that the haters keep doing it, because Sauce is arguably coming for Revis, and I love that. I love that Reed is kind of like that Cromartie. I love that CJ has been, I know he's been injury prone, but CJ Mosley has been very good. Like, it still kills me. Harrison, me and you have talked about this before. If CJ didn't get injured, that first game, because he was lighting it up when he first came here, he would have had
Lights
more
out.
records and more interceptions and more tackles than anything. And we would have praised his name so many times. And we wouldn't have to worry about the McCagnon money with that. Like he was so good. I love where defense is going. In my mind, we're a top 5 defense. And Ulbrich, I'm eating that receipt. I'm sorry, Ulbrich. I will try and be better. Thank you for working with us. And yeah, I love it. I just love it. And yes, I do got to get going, guys. Guys, you guys have been great.
Appreciate you.
I got to go on my other show, but these guys catch us, guys in the chat. Catch us for Ailey Jet post game show this Sunday after the Patriots game. I love these boys. They're like my brothers. And Harrison, thank you guys. Show.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Thank you for joining us, Gino. Much appreciated.
Definitely.
Yeah. So as you guys know, you could find Gino at the Everything MYJ channel. You guys should check that out. Again, it's at Everything MYJ. They put out awesome content. Me and Show are on there on Sundays. We do the post-game show. It's a freaking awesome time. Please tune in. But appreciate all you guys in the chat. Me and Show are going to keep chatting with you guys. You know how it is. Me and the Jets. I could just keep going. I could just keep talking about them Jets. But all you guys in the chat, appreciate you guys. Appreciate your guys' comments. Brandon says he's got a bet with his dad. Bro, that was a good bet, man. That was a good bet.
This is Brandon right here. Say hello to the people, B. This is my right-hand man. He's the co-host.
Hello.
I don't think
What's going on, man?
You.
Hello.
Oh, there you are. What's going on, man?
He's live. He's helping me out right now, guys. B, can you plug that one up for me with the bass? Okay.
That's
all right.
funny.
I'm back, guys.
That's a good
You
bet.
just reading. He walked right in.
That's funny. The timing. Timing is everything, right? That's what they say.
Right.
But man, we're talking
either
about
this
these
one or this one.
defensive stats, and we're saying these are great numbers. These are great numbers. But everyone's pointing out how the Jets' defense has been so much better over these last couple of weeks. And honestly, the biggest change is Zach Wilson's back. And yes, he's the quarterback. He plays on the offense. But a team is a team. They're a unit. The chemistry they have, they say it all the time. You play for your brothers. You play for the man to the left and to the right of you. And man, we know Zach Wilson brings the energy, man. He brings the chemistry. He hypes everyone up. We saw it. The team in the huddle in that first game, right when they're making that last drive, Zach gets in the huddle. He goes, let's get a fucking touchdown, boys. And they were hyped as hell. So the Jets defense, since Zach Wilson has come back, so these are impressive numbers, but I want to point out, since Zach has come back, check these out. So from weeks 5 to 9, the Jets defense has the 4th most sacks in the entire NFL and the 3rd most touchdowns. And in fact, over the last 3 weeks, because they didn't play this week, so after 7, 8, and 9, they have the 3rd most sacks and the 2nd most touchdowns in the NFL. So, man, the Jets defense has really kicked it up since Zach has come back. Since week 5 on, those numbers are amazing. Top of the league in sacks. The pass rush has really been there. Our guys are consistently getting to the quarterback. And we mentioned Bryce Huff. He's a major component of that. So is Carl Lawson. So is Quinnen Williams. But the interceptions, man. So, yeah, the defense is good. But over these last few weeks, they've been electric. Since Zach has come back, this defense has been really, really good.
And like you were saying, to me, this team is really about the vibe, the energy. Like the energy is just different with this team. And I think that credit goes to Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh for knowing what type of guys to bring it to the building. And I've heard some of the players say, like, man, I hang out with several of these guys, like after work. Like we're hanging out. You know, I'm going to his house. You know, he's coming to my house. I'm cooking dinner, have a few guys over. And to me, that's how you rebuild a franchise. You bring in and being honest, I think Jets fans, excuse my language when I say this, I think Jets fans are we don't take shit. We just don't. Like even when we hired Gase, the Jets fans were freaking, like we were bananas, right? So I think we're that fan base. If we see BS, we're going to call it. And I think JD personally fits that. You know what I mean? I think JD is a no BS type guy. Hey, you want out of here? I'm not going to do a big fuss. I'm cool, Joe. You know what I mean? I'll get you out of here, but I'll get you out of here at my speed, right? So that's me not taking shit from you. You know, no matter who your agent is, Marcus May, no matter who you no matter what you put on Twitter, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So I think JD really epitomizes like he like to me, he's the staple. He's the GM that we've needed for so many years.
Speaking my language, bro. You know, that's my guy, Joe Douglas.
Right, right.
Everyone here knows. Joe Douglas is my guy, man.
Yes.
Since we got him and brought him on, the pieces were there. I saw all the things, and I'm like, man, we finally have a GM that knows what he's doing. And it wasn't too long until I was like, man, this guy's great. Yes. This guy is a great GM, and it's going to take time. Everything doesn't happen automatically. Rome wasn't built in a day, but he's going to do the right things to put us in the right place. And this is the fruition of it. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing the fruition of all of that absolutely beautiful work, man. But this defense, just the numbers are absolutely impressive. And again, we say, you know, Zach Wilson, obviously he's the quarterback. He's not on the defense. Right. But the camaraderie changes when you're when your starting quarterback rejoins the formation. The attitude changes. And I love that because we see that. These weeks, the numbers just shot up. They literally are top of the league. And we said it last week when they played the Bills. The Bills had what we thought was the best defense in football. Well, our offense had their way with them a little bit. But our defense owned the shit out of Buffalo's offense. So that makes us wonder, do we have the best defense in the NFL? And over the last couple of weeks, you can easily make that argument that the Jets have the best defense in the NFL. Sean, I believe you might have froze. There you are. I think you're back.
Am I good?
Yeah. I hear you now. Let's
pause. No, just kidding.
You just stay there frozen, like
right. But no, man. I think I told you guys at the
I think
we're good.
We're experiencing technical difficulties. We got to have that flashing thing. Remember, like back in the freaking day, like the please stand by.
1 second here, guys.
No, all good, bro. All good.
So, but no. So, out of the top 10 defenses in NFL right now, you would arguably say that the Jets are in the top 10. Also, the 49ers, right? But when you break that down, who's behind both of them? Or at one point was behind one, Robert Saleh. You know what I mean? So in my eyes, I've always been a Robert Saleh guy. Like always, when they said that he was one of the candidates for the head coach position, I was elated. I did like the offensive coordinator from the Chiefs. He was in my top 3. Also, of course, the New York Giants head coach. He was in my top 3. And also, right. And Robert Saleh. But once again, I'm a defensive minded person. So yes, I like the offensive coordinator from the Chiefs, but I saw what Robert Saleh did to that 49ers defense. He took that defense that was struggling and turned them into a Super Bowl caliber defense. And I was like, man, if that guy could do this for the Jets, I think the Jets are kind of like known for being a defensive team. You know what I mean? Like when you think about the Jets, you think about
you ain't wrong, bro. Our freaking freaking childhood, man.
Right.
That was the years of great defense. Even the years when we had those playoff teams, we had great defense. We've always, like you just said, whenever we've had offensive coaches, the Adam Gateses, the Rick Cotites of the world.
Cotites, yes.
We've always done very well and very successful when we've had a defensive-minded head coach.
Yes.
I was cool with, I thought Dabo could potentially be the guy, but man, you mentioned it with Saleh coming in with the defense, and that was the biggest thing with me last year. If you look at a Robert Saleh defense, it was blatantly obvious in every year he played every year he was the defensive coordinator, that his defense was predicated on the pass rush. It was obvious that it didn't matter how good the corner play was. It didn't matter how good the linebacker play was. It was 100% predicated on the pass rush. All those years for the Niners, when they had the injuries like the Bosa and everything, their defense wasn't bad, but it wasn't top of the league. It was mid-pack, like at best. So that was the biggest thing last year. We just didn't have a consistent pass rush. And in the beginning of the season, we talked about that. We were worried about that as well. But man, like you see with those numbers below, over these last few weeks, since week 5,
lights out.
Because we were critiquing the rotation, right? Like we're like, well, if you can't get to the quarterback, leave Quinnen in more, leave Huff in more.
Right.
Man, this rotation, like you said, we got to eat crow on this because they have it down to the point where they are in the quarterback's face consistently throughout the game. And they're at such a rotation, by the time they get to the fourth quarter, they're not winded. Like they got guys that are still ready to go, ready to keep rushing. Man, our pass rush is relentless. And that is the word that you want to hear. And because of that, the whole defense is thriving because that pass rush is there. But yeah, it helps when you got Sauce, DJ, and Michael Carter II. That definitely helps.
Right. And being honest, man, I looked at a few games, like of course, like rewatching them, and you can look at the linebackers. They're communicating more now. The coverage is better amongst the linebacking crew. You know what I mean? So it's just like I'm watching it, Harrison. I'm like, man, this defense is freaking scary, man. It's like we don't have a weakness, and you can't really say that about a lot of teams. Like even when you look at Buffalo, right? And I'm gonna give credit to them. They have one of the better defenses in the league. And I also have to give a little credit. They do have a couple of guys injured. Like I'm thinking maybe when we play them the next time, they have Tre'Davious White back. And if he looks like the same Tre'Davious White that we're accustomed to seeing, it just elevates that defense even more. You know what I mean? But when you look at their cornerback room, I'm sorry, I'm taking Reed and Sauce in comparison to who the Bills have right now. You know what I mean? So in a sense,
anybody has. Like forget the Bills. Anybody has, man. I'm with you.
Right. So when I look at it from that standpoint, I'm saying to myself, like, that's sort of a weakness. And that weakness got exposed. I watched some highlights, man, of Garrett Wilson. His separation off the line of scrimmage in that Bills game was absolutely mind-blowing.
Bro, you saw that play from the slot?
You saw it?
God. They got great. I love NFL now. I think it was the NFL Twitter. They did like a blown up version of it where they slowed it down. Man, he shattered that dude's ankles. Like I heard when you saw it in slow mo, it was like you heard the shattering. Like it was crazy. Like man, it's crazy. Like his wiggle is out of control.
It is. Coming into the season, I was like, what's the big difference between Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson, right? Because you've seen the highlights and you've watched the college games, Ohio State. The guy looks phenomenal, right? But I really couldn't see what was the big standout with Garrett Wilson versus, Elijah Moore. And I'm like, I hope we just didn't get two of the same caliber type guys. Like, we need somebody a little different. Well, the more I keep watching the games, I see the difference between Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is definitely a guy who can play outside the numbers and inside the numbers, more so than an Elijah Moore. If you put Garrett Wilson on the go route, he can catch the ball at that high point, unlike Elijah Moore for the most part. Elijah Moore can do it, but he doesn't. I think that's one of Garrett Wilson's specialties. You know what I mean? He's so athletic in that term that he could actually go up and get the ball at that high point. And I can see that more and more and more. Like even the one, I don't think it was the Bills game, if I'm not mistaken. But it was the one game where it would have been a touchdown, I believe, but he caught it out of bounds. But it was one-handed. And the way that he caught the ball, Harrison, I was like, man, this guy is sick. You know what I mean? Like, this Garrett Wilson guy is going to be effing special, man. So, yeah, I'm big on those guys, man. I just being honest, like Garrett Wilson is slowly becoming my favorite offensive player, other than AVT.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I knew they were very different from one another. Like Elijah Moore was a guy when we drafted him, I looked at what he did in the slot. Like he was the best slot receiver in college football, like
Hands down.
period. Like we talked about those numbers before, like absolutely insane. I was like, this is going to be a slot guy. Then when they said they were going to play him on the outside, I was like, I wasn't really sure. I figured, he's not the biggest guy. I didn't know if it would work out. I do have to say, after his rookie season, and I said it then, he proved he can be an outside receiver. He was lining up against top guys. He was making some contested catches, but he is much better off in the slot. It's blatantly obvious. You look at a guy like Garrett Wilson, though, and he's a guy I've talked about before. I was obsessed with Chris Olave. Like absolutely obsessed. Like Chris Olave was my guy. And you have to say he's killing it. He is absolutely killing it at the NFL level. In fact, he's the only rookie doing a better job than Garrett Wilson. But they're two totally different receivers. And that was my thing because I was so obsessed with Olave and his skill set. I was kind of blinded to what Garrett Wilson brought. And you guys here, I have my whole episode on where I talked about it, talked about seeing it through Chris Olave rose-colored glasses, seeing it differently. I fell for Garrett Wilson. Man, this guy, he is a true wide receiver one. The one thing I always said, even when I wasn't 100% sold on him. And the biggest thing I wasn't sold on was his route running. I just didn't look at it the right way. I thought he was a sloppy route runner. I was completely wrong about that, but I thought he was a sloppy route runner. I always felt his contested catchability is insane. His catch radius is out of control. I always called him a human highlight reel. Like just put the ball in his vicinity, somewhere near him, and he will come down with it. Like that's the biggest thing I always loved about him. His catch radius, his contested catchability is crazy. And we've talked about it that the Jets clearly favor bigger bodied guys like that on the outside. With guys like Corey Davis, now with Denzel Mims. Man, we saw last week Moore was in the slot a lot. He wasn't targeted, though. Man, he is. What we've seen what he can do in college in the slot is incredible. He was one of the best slot receivers, in college football. Like, he was incredible. So it's going to be interesting to see, when they start targeting him, man, what this combination of receivers can be.
Absolutely. And to think about it, Moore did this in the SEC. It wasn't like it was in a small conference,
That's
arguably the biggest and best conference in college football. And like you were just saying, man, we saw his rookie year what he can do. Elijah Moore is a baller. We all know this. If I had to say anything, it's just what we talked about earlier. Our guys are young. Zach is young. Our offense coordinator is young from a coaching standpoint. Our head coach is young from a coaching standpoint, head coaching. So I think just with time, everything will start to kind of put itself where it needs to be naturally. And I think that's the point where we're getting to now. I think they looked at a lot of footage. They talked about a lot of things, discussed a lot of things, obviously. And they came up with, hey, man, we just need to put Elijah Moore in the slot. Let's stop trying to overthink this thing like our guy Reed said. He was like, man, let's just simplify things. Let's stop overthinking this. Let's communicate and simplify what we're doing so we can execute properly or better. And I think that's what they're doing now with Elijah Moore alone. It's like, hey, this guy can ball. We all know this. Let's not overthink this. Let's stop putting him on the outside, man. And let's dominate and put him at the slot position. And I think when we do that and he gets his target, we know the results. We know exactly what's going to happen. He's going to open the field up more, get a lot of separation, catch the ball, at the 5 yards from the line of scrimmage and gain additional 10, 12, 14 plus yards almost every single time. He's going to be a matchup nightmare at the slot position.
Yeah. And you have to remember, it's based on need and what the team has available to them. Like, last year, we didn't have Garrett Wilson. Last year, Mims was buried on the depth chart.
Yes.
And Elijah Moore was playing outside and he looked like he had potential there.
Right.
But now you have Garrett Wilson, you have Corey Davis, who when healthy looks unbelievable, and Denzel Mims is showing. So it kind of it makes sense, it's not even just that. Like, can he play on the outside? Yeah, he probably can. But we know what he can do in the slot. We saw what he can do in college. this is where he belongs, especially with all this talent on the outside. It's good to know, he's the kind of guy that if you had to put him outside for some reason, he could do stuff. I mean,
Right.
but obviously he doesn't have anywhere near the kind of catch radius Corey Davis has, that Garrett Wilson has. It's not a knock on Elijah. It's basic measurements. It's basic math. I mean, he's very talented for his size. He has unbelievable ability for his size. But again, when you got all these guys that can ball on the outside that are 6 foot, 6'2", 6'3", it makes sense to put him on the middle. And I really thought we were going to be seeing more Braxton Berrios in the slot over Elijah Moore. And we talked about it. I was kind of cool with that. Again, not that I don't want to see Elijah Moore ball out. I'll be honest, and I think a lot of Jet fans do, I still have a bad taste in my mouth with the whole way that went down. Because, so many people compared it to the Denzel Mims situation. It ain't the same thing. Denzel Mims quietly took his lumps and behind closed doors talked to his agent about potentially getting a trade. Elijah Moore had an open, while we're winning, when things are going great for our team, he had an open altercation with fellow players and coaches to the point where he had to be sent home. And instead of cooling down like he was told, he spoke to his buddies like A.J. Brown and demanded a trade on social media. Of all places, he does it on social media. So I want to see him be a part of this offense, but I felt like I wouldn't mind Berrios because, man, Berrios is a baller. We know Berrios can play, and him and Zach Wilson have outstanding chemistry. I mean, we've seen it in the offseason, the two of them hang out. I mean, they both literally got shirts. Berrios has a shirt that says Zach Wilson's good.
Right.
Zach's got a shirt that says Berrios is good. They got great chemistry. They get great camaraderie. And Berrios is having career years with Zach in the slot. So, like, Berrios is the epitome of everything Elijah Moore has proven that he isn't so far. Berrios is a team-first guy. He's a team. He's a everything first. You want him in kick returns? Done. He will do whatever is necessary. And he always reminded me a little bit, obviously he's not as big and strong as Wayne Corbett, but he always reminded me of that Wayne Corbett type that will literally do whatever is necessary to get the first down, as we saw with Wayne many times, even if it almost literally kills him. He will try to get that first down. Or I remember like how many times Wayne Corbett would get that first down. He would get clocked. He wouldn't get up. And we would all stand up. I remember as a kid, my dad would be like, get up. And we'd all be standing just waiting. Just waiting, like is Wayne waiting for Wayne to move? Like, I mean, obviously it wasn't good for him.
Right.
Obviously that's not good. All those shots to the head, but that's the commitment, and that's what we see from Berrios. So, like, I was cool if he was going to be the guy over Moore for those reasons, but man, I would like to see Elijah Moore be a part of this offense. He clearly has the talent. The attitude needs a bit of an adjustment, but he clearly has the talent.
One thing that so I was watching the One Jets Drive. It may have been between episode 1 and 3. It was early in the season. And one thing stood out to me about Elijah Moore. So Robert Saleh talked to him after a play. And it could have just been a practice. I think it was a practice. And I think one of the defensive players either like jammed him up really bad, and Elijah Moore felt like it was pass interference, so he just gave up on the route, right? So after that, Robert Saleh was talking to him, and he was like, "Hey man, you can't give up on the route, man. Like, you never know. Like the ref may not see it. He's just going on and on and on." But after Robert Saleh told him what he told him, he gave him a rebuttal. He was just, and I'm like, dude,
there shouldn't be anything.
Right. I'm like,
okay,
dude, you're young. You were just a rookie last year. This is only your second year, and the year is really not even like halfway at the halfway point. And I'm saying to myself, like, that's one thing. And I'm not saying this in a bad way for all the younger guys out there and ladies, but if an older guy is giving you some advice on how to make yourself better, just listen. Doesn't call for rebuttal. Just listen. Even if you don't like what he's telling you, just take it in. You know what I mean? So that was the first thing that I've seen or saw from Elijah Moore as a person that it kind of put a question mark by it. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is your head coach, man. You know what I mean? It's not like a guy off the street is telling you how to run your routes. Like this is literally your head coach. And yeah, so that really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'll try to go back and find the clip and I'll send it to you, Harrison. But yeah, the Brandon, if he's still watching, he'll tell you I called it. I was like, dude, like I don't know about Elijah Moore with that, man. It's like that's saying a lot about his character. You know what I mean? But
No, I know exactly what you mean, man. And it was upsetting. I mean, especially because the team was winning. Like no one else, like we said, no one else was opening their mouth. Like Corey Davis, we talked about earlier, is the perfect example. Like he was playing so well, like his averages, everything was so high that it was clear that if more volume went his way, he would be having an 1,000-yard season. But he's not opening his mouth because the team is winning. What they're doing is having success. That's the most important metric. The wins.
Yes. If you don't win, you don't fill the stadium, right? And if you don't fill the stadium, that means the owners don't make as much money as they would like to. You know what I mean? So everything is based upon dollars. And with that being said, then they'll start looking at the coaches, they'll start looking at the players, and some of these guys will leave, you know. And being honest, some guys, some teams will probably give Elijah Moore a chance. I think the Jets would have traded him had they got the Joe Douglas, specialty with the trade. We
talked about that, yeah.
Right. So I think Elijah Moore is still a part of this team because Joe Douglas couldn't finesse or fleece the other teams like he's done in previous trades. But I felt like if a first round or a high second round was offered, then Elijah Moore wouldn't be here. And I put out a video on my channel about it. And I was perfectly okay with them trading him as long as they get equal or greater value. But he hasn't produced enough. So some teams would take a chance on him, I'm sure. Let's say if he doesn't work out for the Jets. There are a lot of teams that'll take a chance on Elijah Moore. But you have to, in my opinion, you have to stay humble, especially for the young guys. Now, AJ Brown, he can go and say, hey, or Debo Samuel, they can voice their opinions on why they want to be traded because they have produced for multiple seasons. A guy like Elijah Moore, he had an okay season as a rookie, and you come into your second year when your team is winning, man, and your numbers don't look that great. Okay, average, I guess, number wise. I just think it was way too early for him. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like I tell you all the time, I'm an honest guy, man. I would actually like to trade him.
And it depends what you can get. And you remember, bro, that was like literally like my take when we talked about it, right? When the whole thing happened with Elijah Moore, that was literally my opinion because Joe Douglas came forward and so did Saleh saying he's not being traded. And I think there was, like we talked about, I think there was two sides to that. The one side was, they want him to be a part of this offense. It's not like they don't want Zach Wilson to have as many weapons as possible. It's not like they don't want it to work.
Right.
But the side that wasn't being mentioned was, like you just said, I would talk all about that. That if you look at what Elijah Moore did, he's all hype right now. I mean, he had a good rookie season, but that's exactly what it is. It's a good rookie season. Right. We saw guys like Antonio Brown, who even had amazing 1,500-yard seasons that teams don't even want to touch with a 10-foot pole because they're prima donnas and they're trouble. Well, you're a guy who was just drafted by this team, basically with a first-round pick just last year, and you're opening your mouth when they're winning. The team is doing well. Everyone else is on board. But you had some altercation where you had to actually go home.
Right.
And instead of where they said diffuse a little bit, take it easy, take a breath. You went to social media and requested, like, it's crazy, man. It's absolutely nuts. And I think that's part of it that, they weren't going to get what they wanted. Like, and they weren't saying that. But again, this was a 34th overall pick just last year. That's basically a first-round pick.
It is.
No one's giving you that for a guy with 2-3 times his production, let alone someone with what he has. He's all hype. He's literally all hype. So, I would have been I was talking about, I said the same thing. If someone would have called Joe Douglas and even offered him the 45th overall pick, he would have said, hell
Hell
yeah,
no.
I'll take it.
Yeah, right. 45th.
Oh, do you
Oh,
think?
yeah.
Yeah, 45th.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
45th overall.
Facts, yeah.
Like even 10 lower. I don't think anyone was offering even remotely within that range because that's a really high pick.
It is.
You know?
It is.
Like, so I think that was the thing. Yeah, that wasn't really being talked about. That that he wasn't going to get what they wanted for him. He wasn't going to get what Joe Douglas would have considered fair for just the 34th overall pick. Because again, like we were just saying, all hype, right? All hype hasn't produced yet, and he's opening his mouth. We said we've seen wide receivers do that with the production and still go for like second, third round picks because teams don't want to deal with that anymore. Right. That's the mentality. And I think it was earlier in this offseason, Robert Saleh nailed it. You know how he does that whole thing? He's a huge Navy SEALs guy. He brought up that whole thing just about that, where he said there's metric charts that show where some people would think you would want the player with the high producing level, but not as big a character. He's like, no, it's the other way around. You actually want the guy with the high character, the great locker room guy, over the guy that's got great production, but is a cancer in the locker room.
Yes. And to me, that is the mindset of a Jet. Robert Saleh. That is the mind. When I think about some of the great Jets player, they were so like fan friendly, man. You hear these great stories about Wayne Corbett. You hear these, great stories about Mo Lewis. You hear these superstars that play for the Jets, man. They are like some of the best players to have on the Jets because they absolutely love the Jets fans. And for Robert Saleh to get it, he, like, in my eyes, Robert Saleh understands. Like, he's an intelligent guy. Like, let me tell it, I think he's very sharp. That guy gets it. He gets it. This thing is based upon team. And like you said, man, and Robert Saleh said so well, I love the idea, and I love that he actually implements the Navy SEALs into the mindset of this football team. One, in order to be a Navy SEAL, man, you have to go through a lot. You know what I mean? It takes a lot to become a Navy SEAL. Like, you go through so much training. And then even when you do that, everybody is not going to make it. You're going to get the best of the best to become the Navy SEALs guy or woman. Let's be fair. So to implement that mindset within this team, and you have to be team oriented to have a Navy SEALs mind, to have to take that philosophy and apply it to the guys in the locker room, and those guys buy into it. And like we've mentioned before on some of our previous shows, you can tell that the guys are buying into it. Whenever you hear the guys talk, they're almost repeating the same thing. Yeah, we just have to dig deep, and we have to find that 60% to take us over the top, so you're constantly hearing this. So I think, like we mentioned earlier in this show, Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh are the perfect guys for this Jets franchise. And we're seeing the results right now.
Yeah, bro, that 60% one, oh man, that got me hyped. I loved that one.
It did.
Like, I love the fact I'm actually the one that put it out on Twitter and it went viral. Like, it's amazing. The video had like 500,000 views, which was absolutely awesome. It was really, really cool. Yeah, because no one else had put it out, but I just thought it was the most amazing thing. Like, I heard him say it was the coolest thing. The whole thing with the 60%, how it's interesting that apparently when we hit what we think is 100%, it's really only 40%. We have another 60% there, and everybody can access that differently. And I love how he's like, the only way to access it is to go to a very dark place. Like,
and then Michael Clemens just pops out of nowhere, like, yeah.
Exactly. Bro, right when Robert Saleh says stuff like that, I want them to pan to the side, and it's just Clemens just standing there.
Oh man, that Michael Clemens guy, man, I freaking love him, man.
Robert Saleh says, because I cover the press conferences going back to the past, like with Adam Gase and the stupid shit that would come out of his mouth. I love, and I felt this way for the longest time. I always said with Robert Saleh, he has to prove it. He has to prove it. But I love everything he says. I've been saying that since we got him. Like, I just love everything he says. And it's coming together. The culture changes there. But one of the things I love that he said the other day, they asked him about his advice to Zach Wilson. And his advice to Zach Wilson was, you can't let people that have zero control over your well-being control. I want to get it exactly correct because it was beautiful. So I want to get it. I want to get it exactly correct because it was a perfect quote. So I'm going to look it up here because I want to get it exactly correct.
What we've heard.
I don't remember when he said it.
What we've heard about Saleh, even before we hired him as the head coach, what we've heard about him is absolutely true. And we're seeing it, man. This guy is a leader of men. And I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I mean, you see the guy running the steps before the game. It just gets you pumped up, right? Like, Rex Ryan didn't do that. Todd Bowles didn't do that. You know what I mean? Adam Gase sure as hell didn't do it. You know what I mean? Like, this guy. So, and like, I remember in high school, one of my favorite coaches, man, he was a heavy set guy. And he was heavy set when I was in high school. So he was the football coach. And years later, they were telling me that he was riding around like in one of those little scooters that you sit down on. And I'm like, that's crazy, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but there was nothing wrong with him. He was just overweight. Right? And they actually fired him maybe a year or two after that. And I asked a couple of people that I was close to, like, why did they fire him? And they was like, because you can't tell the guys to, you know, be in shape, be athletic, and you can't even walk around. You know what I mean? So when I see Robert Saleh doing what he's doing, running the steps, like, I think about that. Like, he's a guy that's showing with words and actions. And, man, dude, Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, man, dude, I love those guys, man. I love them. Did you find the quote?
I did. And I just wanted to find it because it's such an amazing quote. I didn't want to paraphrase it. Like, the things Robert Saleh says, again, man, since we brought him in, he says the right things. He's got the right attitude, like with the 60%, the Navy SEAL stuff. I love this. His advice to Zach Wilson, you can't let people who have zero control over your well-being decide who you are as an individual. I was like, I remember hearing that when he said it, and I was like, ooh, we all need a guy like Robert Saleh.
Oh, my God. Dude.
We all need a guy like Robert Saleh telling us things like that. That you can't let people who have zero control over your well-being decide who you are as an individual. I was just like I was listening to that. I was at my school teaching, and I didn't realize there were other teachers in the room with me. Right when he said that, one of the other guys went, amen. And I was like, I didn't even realize someone was listening. Like, that was such an amazing quote. Like, such an amazing. I was like, everything he says is so amazing. It's great to see it finally coming together between him and Joe Douglas. We got something absolutely special here. Something absolutely beautiful.
We do. From the Gino and I was talking about this, like via text or phone call. I can't remember exactly, but we were talking about this. Like, dude, from the depth of our chart roster to the front office, it's talent everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a huge Rex Ryan guy. I think I've told you guys this. But the way we're going right now, man, that Rex Ryan era and work we're doing right now is, woo, man, it's kind of like putting pressure on my Rex Ryan days, man. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like, God, man, this team is good. I just hope that, I know sometimes in life we can get too complacent. So I hope that's not the case coming after the bye week. You know, guys get comfortable. No one can beat us. And we have, even the NFL is showing that we have one of the better defenses in the league. And, Zach Wilson may come in, I just beat the big bad Buffalo Bills. And, I just hope guys can humble themselves, keep their head down, focus, study the film, hit their weights, make sure they're treating the bodies right. I hope they didn't go out and party over the Especially going against the New England Patriots, man. So I hope everybody took care of themselves, on this bye week, man, and stay focused, stay focused and do exactly, well, not exactly. You always want to improve, but do what you've been doing, but just keep stacking it. Like Robert Saleh says, just stack it, day after day, game after
That's
game,
exactly
just stack it. So don't get comfortable. Don't think just because you're 6-3 now that last 6 win can't be your last one, because we've seen it happen, not just with the Jets, just with other teams. So yeah, I just hope the guys, man, they stay focused and they do what we know that they can do, because it's proven. It is definitely proven. Once you beat the Buffalo Bills, this Buffalo Bills, then you're really saying something about your team, because it's hard to beat that team. It's hard to get any win in the NFL, but to beat one of the teams that's projected to be a Super Bowl winner, it's saying a lot about your team. So stay focused, guys. Get the win, man, and make guys like Harrison and myself and everybody that's in the chat very proud. Because I'm being honest with you guys, on my Facebook page, excuse my language, I've been talking a lot of shit. I have, Harrison, man. I have. God. Because I've been taking so much shit for like X amount of years, man.
Bro, that's what it's been, man. And that's how we started the show. When me and Gino first went live, we just took a moment to revel in the fact, because we're looking at the future, we're looking at beating the Patriots, and you mentioned it just a minute ago, right?
Mhm.
You said that during the bye week they took a couple of days. Obviously, they take a couple of days, get better, heal up, have some fun, do some stuff, but they're looking at the eye on the prize, man. Eye
Right.
is 100% on the prize. We saw it in, like you said, all those press conferences after, because that's the culture change. It's trickling down. Like Robert Saleh said, it's all about the next game. Zach Wilson's been echoing that all season. It's all about the next game. Every game. Even when he was winning a couple games in the beginning of the season, everyone was saying it's all about the next game.
Yes.
He kept saying it's all about that next one.
Yes.
So it's always there. They even said, right after, the bye, right now, immediately, it's Patriot week. Like even during the bye week, they were like, it's Patriots
week. Yes.
we're looking ahead, because
Yes.
that's what you want to see.
Mm-hmm. These guys are special. Harry. And I'm glad that I'm alive to witness it. You know what I mean? Like, for so long, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm ever going to see this team do good.
Yeah, man. It's been tough. It's been a tough
brutal,
couple
man.
years. I knew when
brutal.
we got Joe, man. I knew Joe Douglas was the guy. The biggest thing for a while was the micromanaging, right? When Gase was still here, that whole thing was just dysfunctional as shit. I was like, they got to get this right. They got to give Joe Douglas the keys to the car. They got to let him do his thing. And we've seen it, like, ever since that's happened, that's when the magic has really started to unfold.
Yes. I was actually going to make a video or put out a tweet. I hadn't made my mind up. I may or may not do it, but I was actually going to make a tweet, probably a long one or a short video on my channel about thank God for Adam Gase. Without Adam Gase, this would not be possible what we're seeing right now.
Well, I actually have a slightly different take on it. I know a lot of people feel the other way. I honestly think Adam Gase played very little factor in Joe Douglas coming in. I know I'm one of the few people I know a lot of people give Adam Gase a lot of credit, but the way I look at it is, at the time, Joe Douglas was the top GM candidate, and he was coming from the Ozzie Newsome School of GMing. He was like the top guy that everybody was looking at. He claimed to have a great relationship with Adam Gase, but I never really bought that. I mean, look what Adam Gase was. The Jets made him like the supreme chancellor of the team. Like, he was the GM and the head coach. It was crazy. He was like Bill Belichick without the accolades. Like, he totally was. He was like the king of the Jets without deserving it. So when Joe Douglas came in, I felt like he had to say those things. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I think that relationship might have been overplayed a bit. I think he was the best candidate at the time. He interviewed well. I'm so glad we went with him. I think him and Gase might have known each other, like they might have been friendly, but I don't give Gase as much credit as other people do, where they're like, thank God for him for bringing Joe Douglas in. I think it was just the situation. Honestly, I think it was just the situation where, that he came in, he had to say those things. And then clearly, obviously, I think, when he given the opportunity, he moved on, and I think that was kind of what he always wanted to do. Honestly, if you ask me.
So with me, I would give credit to Adam Gase just for stinking up the place. You know what I mean? Not even if some people give credit to Adam Gase for bringing in Joe Douglas. I'm not that guy. I'm just the guy or the person that says like, thank you, Adam Gase. Thank you for rubbing the fans the wrong way. Thank you for calling halfback dive 50% of the game. You know what I mean? Like, I'm that thankful. I'm that guy that's saying, you stunk so badly, man, that you literally paved the way for a Robert Saleh. You literally paved the way for Joe Douglas to bring in his own guys. You know what I mean? His own ideas. You know, and I'm thankful for Adam Gase for that. You know, because if you had an Adam Gase that was actually winning games, let's say you had the same Adam Gase that was not like fan friendly or social media friendly or interview friendly, but he was winning games. Yes, we would be appreciative because we're winning games, but is he a likable guy? In my opinion, absolutely not. You know what I mean? Like, the guy's a freaking weirdo if you ask me. But when you see Robert Saleh, man, you see his interviews, man, this guy's just like, he's genuine. And you can almost see it, you know what I mean? Like, just pouring out of his skin. Like, he just appears and sounds like a genuine guy. I think sometimes he even try to crack jokes with the beat writers, and he's laughing and they're not. You know what I mean? He's like, I've seen him crack jokes and nobody else is laughing.
So I love it. The back and forth is, he has a very, even though the beat writers, you know, they do, you know, sometimes like take things out of context. They have a very good relationship. You could definitely tell.
Yeah,
they have a very good
absolutely. And that's the point that I'm getting at. Like, he fits that New York, like we was discussing, you know, a few minutes ago. He fits that New York style, and I love it, man. Like, once again, thank God for Adam Gase for stinking up the place. Without Adam Gase stinking up the place, we wouldn't have a wonderful Robert Saleh, man. And like I see in the chat here, Salah's got to win a few playoff games first. Absolutely. And I think I mentioned that on Italy's show, I think with you, Harrison, a few weeks back. I'm like, Rex Ryan is still my guy. He is still my guy. I just need Robert Saleh to start winning more. You know what I mean? Once he gives me that, and then I can say, okay, Saleh's my guy, man. Saleh's my guy. We go to the same barber.
I like it, man. I like it. So one big topic, you know, to talk about that we haven't spoken about yet, Sauce Gardner, man. Ooh. Sauce Gardner, we've spoken about him on how great this kid could be, how I honestly feel like he could be the best corner to ever play the game. And that's why for Defensive Rookie of the Year, I know you hear people talking about Tariq Woolen. You hear people talking about all these other players. But in my opinion, it's not even close. Sauce Gardner is Defensive Rookie of the Year as of right now, and it's not even close. And the reasoning is not that, yeah, these other guys are putting up great stats too, but Sauce Gardner is almost changing the name of the game. Like what he is doing, we've talked about it. It is insanity. We've talked about it on, you know, a lot on this channel with you guys here, all you guys. Appreciate all you guys out there. We've talked all about Sauce, the numbers he's putting up. What he's doing hasn't been done before. There hasn't been a player to come in as a corner playing the best receivers at the NFL level. He's shutting down Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs. He's shutting down the best receivers in the NFL already. He's putting up lower completion percentages, making it where it's stupid to even throw his way.
Yes.
Already. It is insane. So, yeah, there's other guys that are very talented. Tariq Woolen is definitely one of them. But nobody is doing what Sauce Gardner is doing. He is looking like, again, potentially the greatest corner to ever play this game. And the perfect stat to show that. For the New York Jets, if we go to, where's it? Got it right here. For the New York Jets, did you know that in his first 9 games, he's the only Jets rookie to have 10-plus PDs and 2 interceptions since Darrelle Revis? He just surpassed Darrelle Revis as the only rookie to do that. And we look at his coverage grades already. We look at the fact that he leads the NFL with 14 PDs. He's considered already the #1 corner in the league. as a
rookie.
rookie in his 9th game ever. It is insane. That's what we've talked about. We've talked about it here a lot. That again, Sauce Gardner, we saw what he did in college. I remember we said, you know what, everyone was talking about his 1,000 coverage snaps without allowing a touchdown. What I thought was more impressive was the passer rating allowed. What I thought was more impressive was that statistically, he had shown that it was stupid to even try to throw his way. The numbers were lower than if you even tried to throw it in the dirt. The fact that he's doing that already at the NFL level, okay, it's just out of control. Look at what he's putting up. There isn't a player, a corner at the NFL level that has done what he is doing. Like we said at week 9, we've thrown the best receivers in the NFL at him. He's shut them down, and he's just starting his career. So, man, for that reason, Sauce Gardner, again, yeah, his numbers, yeah, number-wise, yeah, other guys have more this, more that, but, man, no one is putting up the presence that Sauce Gardner is putting up. The passer ratings that he has against the receivers he does at his rookie it's just insane. It is absolutely insane.
So, Harrison, I have a unique spin. I've mentioned to you before in the chat, of course, obviously, I'm a diehard Jets fan, but my wife is a Seattle's fan, right? So I'm obligated to watch the Seahawks as well.
You've been seeing some Geno Smith lately.
Right. But with that being said, man, so of course, I woke up early Sunday to watch the Bucks versus Seahawks game in Germany. And Tyreek Woolen had an interception, right? And it's going to go on his stats as an interception, rightfully so. That game, we watched it. My wife and I watched it from quarter 1 until the last seconds of the fourth quarter. Tampa Bay ran a play, and they were right. The first time they did it, Tom Brady was extremely open. So they put Tom Brady at the wide receiver position. And they put, I think it was Fournette at the quarterback. So it was like a wildcat offense. And when they did it, nobody, like none of the defenders even were 5 feet close to Tom Brady. Within the same quarter, but they actually ran the ball that time. Within the same quarter, they tried to play again. But this time, Tariq Woolen stuck to Tom Brady. Now, I don't know if you've seen the highlight or not. It's kind of actually funny. If you haven't, please watch it. You're going to have a laugh for the night. If anybody in the chat is listening and you want to watch it. It's hilarious. So they do the same formation. Instead of running it this time, Tom Brady's at the wide receiver position. Fournette is at the quarterback position in the wildcat style offense. Hike the ball. Instead of running it this time, Fournette tries to throw the ball to Tom Brady. My God. Tom Brady actually slips and falls when the ball is coming his way. So Tyreek Woolen, of course, he's 6'4", sub 440, speed, intercepts the ball. That's not coverage. That's just a crazy play you know what I mean? So when you're telling me that Tyreek Woolen has more interceptions than Sauce Gardner, yeah, he does. I also watched my wife is a Seahawks fan. I also watched the Arizona game, and Arizona and Kyler Murray that was struggling. And the last quarter, the fourth quarter, they tried to throw a huge pass to Hollywood Brown, who was covered by Tyreek Woolen. Well, Tyreek Woolen and Hollywood Brown probably run the same speed. Oh, the difference is Hollywood Brown is like 4'11", and Tyreek Woolen is like 7 feet. Why would you throw a 50-50 ball? You get what I'm saying? So it's like Sauce is going up against guys.
Yeah, and we saw that amazing Sauce pick that he had of Josh Allen. That was
what I mean?
It wasn't even like Whitehead's, which was just thrown to him. Right. Exactly. Sauce made that play.
So when they're making their votes on who gets or who earns the defensive rookie of the year, I pray to the NFL gods that they look at everything instead of looking at stats, because sometimes stats don't tell it all. I used to be a huge stats guy, right? And then I started to look at the little intricate details, and I'm like, because I was kind of hard on Carl Lawson at the beginning of the year. Being honest, I was like, why is this guy not having, X amount of sacks? He should be, right? And then I started to look at certain things. Well, sometimes they were double teaming Carl Lawson. Or sometimes Carl Lawson was actually, in my opinion, he was getting held. The ref didn't call it. But Carl Lawson is such a phenomenal defensive end that when he does that, he's wreaking havoc and it's freeing up everybody else. So a lot of those sacks that everybody else was getting, Carl Lawson didn't, but Carl Lawson is the reason why the other guys got those sacks. You know what I mean? So in my opinion, stats don't tell everything. Without a Carl Lawson, you don't get a one-on-one with Quentin Williams sometimes. You don't get a JFM getting a sack. You don't get a Franklin getting a sack without a Carl Lawson, being on that edge and being as ferocious as he can be. So yeah, stats, in my opinion, at the age I'm at now, stats don't really tell the true story. So man, like I just this Jets team is just special. Like we were saying earlier, we're witnessing a special Jets team.
Yeah, bro, you're right. Stats are fun. Stats are great. It's fun to look at guys. And of course, you want your guy to be great and do this. But the most important metric is winning. That's why people say, that you can't grade a quarterback on wins. Winning is not a metric to grade them on. And yeah, you want to look at their completion percentage. You want to look at the decision making they have. You want to look at where they throw the ball. And there's a billion other things to look at. But at the end of the day, with every position and all the numbers that everybody puts up, the thing that matters the most is the team that won the Super Bowl. That is what matters the most, not the stats at the end of the day. So we talk about all these numbers and people say winning is not a metric to measure on. Well, that's fair, but at the same time, winning is the only metric that matters. Winning is I say this all the time. I joke about this, that you could fall ass backward into half of your wins. If you do that and you make the playoffs, and then at that point, it doesn't matter. You're all in the playoffs. If you win and make it to the Super Bowl, when you're hoisting that Lombardi, no one is talking about that game that you shouldn't have won. Right. And if they are, they're just a hater and an asshole. That's just a fact. Like, wins is the only thing that matters, the W's, right? We say that all the time. And all the wins this year we've had, like the Browns, where we fell into that win where everyone's like, didn't even see it coming. A win is a win. I mean, it's beautiful when we get those wins like against the Bills, where, like you said, I think it was crazy. It's the typical Jet thing. Everyone all the time is always like, they're always trying to find an excuse. But they can try. They can look high and far as long as they want. The dub. There's not an excuse to be found in that Bills game. There ain't an excuse there. I mean, we dominated Josh Allen. The defense was literally, like we said, the pass rush was so imposing and the coverage was so tight that he didn't throw bad throws. We forced him to make bad decisions. We made him throw interceptions, and the offense wasn't amazing, but considering they were playing a top NFL defense, they did enough to win. They played well. And that's what Zach, isn't getting enough credit for. He doesn't get enough credit for, not making bad decisions when playing these top teams. Here's a metric that isn't, mentioned enough, and it's something we should remind people of. Like we said, wins, people say you can't measure a quarterback on wins. But Zach Wilson is 5-1 this season against top NFL defenses and top NFL secondaries. And Saleh kept talking all about that. They kept asking him why Zach was not having these huge games. And he was reiterating the entire time that, we love, I remember the exact quote was pretty much that we love Zach Wilson to go off schedule and fall out of the pocket and do X, Y, and Z and be the guy we put it on his back. But he's playing top defenses with sticky coverage, and the pass rush was all over him in most of those games. Right. So it just wasn't happening, but he's making smart plays. He's making good decisions, and that will turn into, like we saw in the Patriot game, a really big game. You clean up those mistakes. You love that game. He put up
Yes.
350 plus yards against the top secondary. If he can do all the good that he did in Foxborough, that he did with the Patriots the last time we played, and we take out the bad, then we're winning that game. We're winning that game hands down.
Absolutely. Um, you know how I feel about Zach. Uh,
I know you're not 100% sold.
I'm not. But I'm not 100% against him either. You know what I mean? I'm very neutral with Zach, and I think it's like PSD or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we've had so many quarterbacks that were supposed to be it, and they are not it. I just want a quarterback that I can wake up on Sunday mornings and say he's not going to be the reason we lose. And if he is, it doesn't happen often. I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm a very balanced guy in every approach in my life. Like the one big penalty that Hardy had on the punt return. I was like, "What are you doing, Hardy?" I was through the roof watching the game. Harris, I was like, "Crazy man!" Like, but then I reeled myself in. Is because I was like, "You know what, dude? Hardy ever, or hardly ever has a penalty. You know, and it's the NFL. Eventually, you'll get one or two, but his penalties are very minimized. You know what I mean? So I look at that same approach with quarterbacks. Like a quarterback is going to have a bad game or two, or not so dominant game. I mean, even when you look at a Patrick Mahomes, there's been a game or two this season that he didn't look like the Patrick Mahomes that we're accustomed to seeing. But every other game, he looks like that MVP, Super Bowl champion, MVP again, quarterback. So I'm not really going against Zach Wilson. I want to see consistency. And what he showed me against the Bills is how you play the game as a quarterback. Get the ball off under 2.5 seconds. You know, don't do the thing where you run 20 yards back, twirl, then twirl the other way, and find your phone in your pocket, text somebody, and then look for your man downfield just to throw it away. You know what I mean? He didn't do that against the Bills. And I was very impressed with that. And I think we talked about it before. Against the Patriots, it wasn't really even the interceptions. It was, with me, it wasn't. It was just his decision making. You know what I mean? Like, interceptions can happen. A guy can tip the ball at the line and one of the defenders can get the ball. You know, that's an interception. Or, like we've seen so many times, a ball can hit a guy in the hands and the guy not catching and it goes behind him and the defense get the interception. Doesn't mean the quarterback didn't make a smart read. It was just somebody tipped the ball and the defender got, the interception. I'm okay with interceptions. They're going to happen, whether it's on the quarterback's fault or the receiver's fault. But my boggle with Zach Wilson was just the decision making. Like I say, just running back 15 yards and trying to do too much. Like, that's what I don't like. It's not the interceptions with me, because they're going to happen, whether you're Tom Brady or you're Brady Quinn. You know what I mean? Interceptions are going to happen. I just want Zach Wilson to be more consistent and make more NFL quarterback decisions. Just don't do the crazy things. And in this game against Buffalo, that's what he did. And I was like, that's the quarterback I want to see right there. Looking at you guys, looking at the defense pre-snap and taking that first or second receiver that's open, not holding the ball, no more than 2.5 seconds, and you're moving the ball, you're running it, you're doing your quick passes, and to me, that's the formula to win in the NFL. You can't hold the ball that long with all these fast defensive ends and defensive tackles, and it depends on what scheme you're running. Sometimes linebackers, because they're sending linebackers at you sometimes, so I like the progression that Zach is making. I want to make my real assessment by the end of the year. So as of right now, I'm pleased with Zach. I just hope he keeps this going.
Yeah. So as you guys know, it's been awesome freaking chatting with you guys. We've been here for freaking 2 hours. Freaking awesome, man. I love it. I love talking about the Jets. I can just keep going. Shit,
Right.
we can just keep going and going and talking nothing about the Jets. But man, Show, as you guys know, we mentioned before, him and me do have different opinions on Zach Wilson. We come from different stances. So what I think would be really fun for one episode in the future, we'll definitely come back on and we'll talk about that. We could do like a two sides of Zach Wilson and talk about the different perspectives we have, because we see it all the time, right? So many people, they have difference of opinion, but you see so many people, get polarized or get into an argument. I think it'd be interesting. We can have a nice conversation like about it, because we come at it from two different angles, and we could talk about the two tails of Zach Wilson.
I like it.
Yeah, I definitely. So you guys tune in. Because otherwise we'd be here for another hour. It'd be 3
That's
hours.
true.
I'll probably pass out on the keyboard at some point. But no, we'll definitely do that, man. Definitely do that, because we have different opinions on Zach. We all want the same thing, right? We all want the Jets to be successful. We all want the W's. We all want to win Super Bowls. But we have difference of opinion on it. And it's important to be able to talk about that. And like we say, there's so many people, just like jump at each other. They don't, willing to, hear each other out and hear what the other person thinks. So I think that's an interesting conversation, as we both have different perspectives. Like, I think we both also saw Justin Fields very differently as well.
I'm not gonna start. Let me stop.
Yeah. So we'll save that one. We'll keep that one. Keep that one. We'll save it. So that'll be a nice one. So we'll do that one time. We'll talk about the quarterbacks, and we'll talk about our takes and our opinions, and share it, see the differences that we have. And who knows, maybe at the end we'll come together with some take. Yeah, definitely.
What's up, Iowa Jets fan? I see you a lot, man, on Green Bean, man. You're a solid
he's
Jets
a good
fan.
dude, man.
I see him everywhere.
I love when he tunes in.
Yeah. Solid guy, man. I love his takes. I see him in the chats all the time, man.
Definitely. I appreciate you. I appreciate all you guys. Appreciate you being here, Iowa. Appreciate all you guys. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Show, if you can give everyone a shout out to, let them know where they could find you.
Well, guys, if you need my address, hey, just email me on or DM me on Twitter. But I'm just kidding about the address. But you can find me on Twitter at The Jet Show, spelled without the W at the end. You can also find me here on YouTube, same name, at The Jet show without the W at the end. I am extremely active on YouTube and Twitter, but I do also have 2 accounts, one on Instagram, one also on TikTok. I'm not as active on there. I don't know if you guys are in the chat earlier, but my son, he actually runs the Jet Show on on Instagram and on TikTok. We do put a little content on there, but we're not as heavy as we are on YouTube and Twitter. So guys, if you would like, come on in, subscribe, send me a message, man. We can talk. I'm a very friendly guy, and I love to hear different opinions about our Jets, man. So as always, give me a follow and go Jets.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you chatting the Jets with me, man. Love it. And as you know, you Show, me and Gino, we do our post-game show on Sundays. It's right after the game. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, it's a lot of fun.
Yes.
We do it 6 p.m. on Sundays. It's awesome time. We do it on Italy Jets channel. But if you guys haven't, if you could please subscribe to my channel, be greatly appreciated. Trying to build up my subscribers, get myself up there. So really, really appreciate you guys. You can let your buddies know, let everyone, reach out, tell them to tune in. As you guys know, we do the show Mondays at 7 p.m. is when we start. Usually like this, we tend to go for a while because we love our Jets. We talk, and it's a freaking awesome time, man. Absolutely awesome time. But again, please let your friends know. If you guys can subscribe to the channel, be greatly, greatly appreciated. I also try to bring you guys content throughout the week. Try to bring you as much as I can. So check it out throughout the week. I'll be bringing you guys short recorded videos for you to check out. But appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate you guys being part of the Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast. I look forward to seeing you guys next Monday at 7 p.m. And hopefully we'll be talking about a win, baby. Hopefully we'll kick some Patriot butt, take them down in Foxborough, and we'll be number 1 in the AFC East.
Yes. Let's go.
Let's go, man. Appreciate you guys. Thank you all for tuning in.
All right, guys.